Hello all, welcome to part 1 of Apache POI API training series. In this session, I am going to explain and practically demonstrate what exactly is an Apache POI API. So let's get started. So Apache POI is nothing but an API. As already mentioned in the title of this session, Apache POI is an API. You can also call it as a library, guys. Okay, either API, which is indirectly nothing but a library, a set of interfaces, classes, predefined methods, variables, etc. will consist of a library. Okay, they are grouped into packages. Packages are grouped into something known as jar files, etc. Okay, those are nothing but libraries or APIs. We generally call Java is a library. Okay, Selenium is a library. TestNG is a library. Similarly, Apache POI is another third-party library. Okay. So what is the purpose of this library? Every library has a purpose. So what is the purpose of this Apache POI API library? The purpose is to read, write, modify or update Microsoft files like Excel file, PowerPoint files, and Word document files. You see, Microsoft, I think everyone knows that they can install in Windows machine or in any other operating system, they can install Microsoft Office, that is MS Office. Okay, like MS Office, Word, MS Office Excel, MS Office PowerPoint, and so on, right? So this Apache POI API is actually developed by some third-party developers to to automate the process of reading, writing, and updating. If you want, you can create these files, delete these files, reading these files, writing these files, modifying these files. Anything can be possible with the help of the different things that are provided as part of this Apache POI API using the interfaces, classes, and whatever that is there in the Apache POI API library. Using them, we can work with these Microsoft documents like reading, writing, creating, updating, deleting, coloring, etc. Word formatting, whatever. It's a very huge list, guys. I cannot conclude in a single 2 to 3 lines like what exactly is Apache POI API. Okay, at a high level, we generally, okay, at a high level, this is the thing, guys. But in generally, why we use Apache POI API as software testers? Okay, if you speak, why we have to use Apache POI API? We use this Apache POI API in our test automation. If you go for Selenium automation or any other automation, which requires us to read the data from the Excel files or do some operations on the Excel files, mainly reading, guys. Okay, reading is the main thing. If you want to read the data from an Excel file, okay, you see what is the use of the Excel file? We can read the data from the database. We can read the data from the Excel file. We can read the document from different files. What is that thing that is special with Excel files? You can organize the data well, right? In the form of tables, you can organize Excel. If you remember an Excel document, you can open the Excel document. You can create multiple sheets. In sheets, you can create different data. Okay, it has its own properties, right? Excel has one of the way of storing the data is Excel files. Okay, a lot of people you see use Excel as their means of storing the data. A lot of data related to particular application is there that can be stored into a not only database but also can be stored into an Excel file. Okay, so but the purpose of the POI API is I already mentioned. But why do we use in our test automation? How software testers use this particular thing in their test automation to to uh, perform operations to automate the performing of the operations on these Excel files. We don't actually need it for PowerPoint or Word document. Okay, we use Apache POI API in our test automation to handle the Excel files. To perform operations on the Excel files, we use in our test automation, guys. It can be any automation, any test automation. It can be UI automation or API automation or mobile automation, whatever it is. Okay, with that Selenium or with that APM or with that rest assured, we can use Apache POI API library to handle the Excel files. And main thing that we generally use as automation, okay, though we can do different type of operations on the Excel files, the main thing in automation that we do is read the data from the Excel files is the main one, guys. Okay, a lot of other operations are there: creating the Excel file, deleting the Excel file, creating sheets, deleting the sheets, creating rows, deleting the rows. Many things are there, but main purpose why we use this POI API in our test automation is to read the data, read the test data from the Excel files is the main purpose. But depending on the different projects and needs, it can be used behind reading the test data from the Excel files. Okay, it's not just limited to reading of the files. It has a lot of capabilities, okay, which are beyond our imaginations at this moment, okay. So if you can spend a lot of time, right, you can still spend time. You see, it's kind of like a ocean or something. A lot of things keep on coming up, and you have to learn POI API like anything. But we don't have to do that as software testers or automation engineers. Whatever that we need from POI API, we have to learn. We don't have to learn the entire POI API, okay, in depth. So some knowledge of POI API is enough, but don't go behind that, okay. So whatever I am going to cover as part of this series, that is enough, guys. That is enough to understand what exactly is Apache POI API and how we can use in our test automation for handling the or operating the or performing different operations on the Excel files. So hope guys you understood what exactly is Apache POI API. Apache is a company or organization which is whose developers are actually building this POI API or library, which can be used for operating or performing different automating the performing of different operations on the Excel files. Mainly Excel files we use for automation. Other documents are also there, but we have to focus more on the Excel files as I mentioned in the session. So that's all for this session. In the next session, I'm going to cover another topic on Apache POI API. Till then, see you. Bye bye. Hello all. Welcome to part 2 of Apache POI API training series. In this session, we are going to understand few terminology about Excel files. So let's get started. You see, in the previous session, I explained what exactly is Apache POI API and how it will help the software testers, that is test automation engineers, to automate the operations that can be performed, that is different operations that can be performed on Excel files, okay? How to create the Excel files, how to delete them, and how to read from the files, how to write into the files, how to modify the files, all this stuff, okay? It will help us to automate. This library will help us to automate that I explained. But in this session, I'm going to explain what exactly are these Excel files, how they look like, how do we have to create it manually. Okay, before I start this practical demonstration of this Apache POI API and handling the Excel files, I would like to give a small brief, okay, uh, showcase of what exactly at a high level you have to know about these Excel files. Okay, so there is few terminologies that you have to know regarding the Excel files, guys. That is, you have to know what is a workbook, what is a sheet, what are rows, and what are cells. These four things you have to know to understand the Apache POI API better. So what is a workbook? Entire Excel file, entire document, Excel document is called as a workbook. Okay. So let me create an Excel file here. So in terms of POI API, an Excel file is represented as a workbook, guys. Okay. This Excel file having some name, you can give some name if you want, you can give some name. This is an Excel file, sample Excel file. It entire document is called as a workbook in POI API, is represented as a workbook in POI API. Okay. So in general also, you can call this as a workbook or Excel file. That's up to you. Okay. But in Apache POI API, terminology is strictly followed. Okay. So coming to the workbook, if you open this Excel file or workbook, Excel workbook, okay, it will open like this. And at the bottom of this document, you will see something known as sheet. You can create any number of sheets. You see, sheet 5, sheet 6, sheet 7, and you can name that. You can name the sheets also. One, okay, sheet 1. Let's say this is login functionality. Okay, generally we create our test cases in Excel, right? So login, logout. Okay, if you don't have any test management tool in your company, we generally use Excel files. Okay, so you can name the sheets. These are nothing but sheets. Okay, the data that is stored in this sheet will be different from data that is stored in this sheet. Okay, it is a separation of the data from other sheets. Okay, now you got to know about the sheets. What is a sheet? Contains this workbook, entire workbook or entire Excel document contains multiple sheets in the form of tabs. As you can see here in the bottom, there are tab kind of structures, which are nothing but sheets. In each and every sheet, I can store different type of data. Okay, fine. Then coming to the rows, guys. Okay, let's go on only on to one of the sheet, that is which is named currently as one here. I renamed that sheet 1 to 1 here. And here, what are these rows? Rows. I'll tell you, these are rows. Row 1, row 2. All these numbers. As you can see, these numbers, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All these are rows, guys. Okay, but uh, these are actually not rows. Okay, without data, there are no rows. So let's do one thing. I'll just create some sample data here. Let me create some sample data here. I'll say first name and here I'll say last name. Okay, last name. In the row 1, the headings are there. Okay, the row 1, the headings of this particular data are there. And from row 2 onwards, I'm giving the actual data. Okay, I'm giving the actual data, like my first name, my last name I give. Other people names also I can give, are Varun, let's say Dawat, then Tarun, Bhaskar, okay, Kishore, Ravi, like this I can give. Okay, so there are rows, and now how many rows are in this sheet 1? In sheet 1, how many rows are there? You should not say 29. You should say only 5 rows are there. Okay, whatever the rows that are filled up with data, those are rows. Okay, those can be called as rows for now. Okay, especially regarding the POI API, if you count the number of rows, the rows are nothing but the rows which are actually filled up with data. Those are the rows. Here from 1 to 5, they are the rows. Other rows doesn't have data. So POI API doesn't recognize them as rows. Every sheet we can have rows. And in every row, we can contain cells. For example, there are two cells. Cell 1, cell 2. In the first row, how many cells are there? First name cell is there, last name cell is there. Second row, Arun cell is there, Motri cell is there. Third row, Varun cell is there, Dawar cell is there. Okay. Individual cell this is called as cell, guys. Okay, this is called as a row. Whatever I'm highlighting is a row. Whatever I'm selecting here in the tab, that is a sheet. The entire document is called as a workbook. And okay, these four terminologies are very important, because in the coming sessions of this Apache POI API series, okay, as part of Apache POI API library series, we are going to use this workbook, sheet, rows, and cells. We are going to automate operating these Excel files with the help of these terminologies only, guys. That's why this session is also important. Okay, so hope guys you understood the Excel files, especially few terminologies that I have mentioned in this session. That is enough, guys, for proceeding with the POI API. So we don't have to explore the entire Excel file and its options. Okay, so this much of understanding for POI API, the terminology understanding is enough, guys. So that's all for this session. In the next session, I'm going to cover another Apache POI API topic for you. Till then, see you. Bye bye. Hello all, welcome to part 3 of Apache POI API training series. In this session, I am going to list down and explain the different predefined classes of POI API that we have to use for handling the Excel files. So let's get started. You see, coming to the Excel files, there are two varieties, that is older version and latest version. If you have created an Excel file using the older MS Office software, older version of the MS Office software that is not being used nowadays, that file will be created with an extension known as XLS extension, XLS extension. But if you create these same Excel files using the latest version of MS Office that we are now using as per this years and all, current year 2022 I am when I am recording this video. Okay, the extension that will be created while creating the Excel file will be .xlsx. An extra x will be there at the end. Okay, older version XLS, latest version XLSX. So this POI API supports both older version of Excel files and latest version of the Excel files by giving different predefined classes for older version and different predefined classes for the latest version of the Excels. Okay, so older Excel version has XLS extension. Latest Excel version has XLSX extension. Coming to the XLS, guys, we have these predefined classes, okay, which are supported by POI API, are provided by POI API to handle the Excel files. That is HSS workbook, okay, to represent the entire Excel file document. HSS workbook is a predefined class given by POI API for handling the older versions of Excel files. HSSF sheet, HSSF sheet. So in a workbook, I told you in the previous session, right? Workbook will contain sheets. For representing the sheets, we have to use this predefined class. In a sheet, there is some data. The data containing the rows. Okay, how many rows of data is there? Okay, so if you want to represent a particular row of that particular data in a sheet, okay, that HSF row is there. HSF row is there. Okay, this is also another predefined class. Okay, then in every row, the data may not be spread in only single cell. Okay, multiple cells. Okay, first name, last name, experience, location, like multiple cells can be there in every row. That each and every cell data, okay, where the data is put in, okay, that each and every box in that Excel file is HSSF cell, can be represented with the HSSF cell predefined class. For the older version of Excel files, that is XLS extension. Okay. Coming to the latest version, they have XLS X extension, and there is small difference between the naming of this workbook sheet, row, and cell, guys. Instead of H here, we have X here. X SSF workbook. X, because extra X is there, right? That's the reason X is coming here. X SSF sheet. X SSF row. X SSF cell. Okay. These are the different predefined classes in POI API, which are provided by POI API to support the handling of the Excel files, that is workbook, sheet, row, and cells. Okay. Using all these predefined classes, we are going to program in the upcoming sessions, especially the next one, if you can see, reading the data from the Excel files. How can this be possible? Without these predefined classes, it's not possible, guys. Okay. So we'll see that practically in the next session anyhow. Okay. So hope guys you understood the different predefined classes of POI API. Okay, that we are going to use for handling the Excel files. Okay, that is workbook, sheet, row, and cell related predefined classes. So that's all for this session. In the next session, I'm going to cover another Apache POI API training session for you, or topic for you. Till then, see you. Bye bye. Hello all. Welcome to part 4 of Apache POI API training series. In this session, I am going to explain and practically demonstrate how to read the data from the Excel files using POI API and also by using for loops in Java. So let's get started. So how to read the data from the Excel files using POI API and for loops in Java. Okay. So let's get started with this. First, we have to create a Maven project. Okay, I already have this Eclipse ID here. I'll open this. And in this Eclipse ID, I'll create a new project. I'll create a Maven project, guys. File new. I'll select the project here. And in this new project dialog, I'll just search for this Maven. Search for this Maven and I'll get this Maven project. Select that. Click on next. Create a simple project. Okay, for now, I'm just creating the simple project, guys. Okay, click on next. Here we have to give the name of the project. Let's give the name as demo project. Okay, demo proj dp. Just give the some group ID, guys. This is the project name, guys. This is what is important. Remaining all are not important. Just give dp in the group ID and click on finish, guys. In a while, this demo project, Maven project will be created. It's already created, guys. All the progress has been done. Now expand this project. Now you got src main Java, src main resources, src test Java. Okay. Now what you can do here is expand this src test Java. There is nothing here. Okay. Under this src test Java, there is nothing. So what we have to do next? Let's follow the steps. Now in this Maven project, okay, in this Maven project, let's open this pom.xml file and here let's add the dependencies tag. Dependencies. Starting and ending dependencies. Okay, this is ending dependencies tag. Okay. Now in between the dependencies, add the dependencies for POI API. Okay. If you want to read the data from the Excel files, if you want to read the data from the Excel files, that is performing, automating the operation, one of the operation like this reading operation from the Excel file using POI API. Okay. We have to add the libraries, okay, of this POI API to this Maven project known as demo project. How to add the libraries? We have to go to this is a Maven project. So we have to go to pom.xml file. In the pom.xml file, create this dependencies tags and go to MVN repository here. Search for MVN repository.com and search for POI. Simply 3 words, 3 letters, sorry, POI. Okay, when you search for that, you will get these 3 things: Apache POI common, Apache POI OOXML, normal POI, POI OOXML, and POI schemas. Okay. So if I go to this POI OOXML schemas, I have only have the latest version up to 4.12. But if I go to this POI OOXML, there is 5.2.3, which is more latest than this one. And if I go to POI, here also 5.2.3 is there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the latest version which is available in all these 3 things. Okay, because I need to add the dependencies of POI, POI OXML, POI OXML schemas. So whatever the latest version that is there in POI OXML schemas, that is 4.1.2, I'll take it. I'll copy this, go to because I need to add the same version, guys. Okay. So whatever the version I'm adding for POI XML schema, the same version I need to add for POI another POI XML. Okay. This one is up to 4.12. So here also POI XML. I'll take the 4.12 only. Okay. Same version I have to take. I should not be taking a different version. Copy this and add these dependencies here. Now save this. Now go to the other one, that is the first one in the search results of POI, that is normal POI. And here also take the 4.12 here, okay? And take this Maven and paste it here. That's it. Now save this. Okay, you added the dependency tags of the POI XML, POI XML schemas. Now this project is configured with not only the Java library, but also the POI API library also. Now under the src test Java, create a class, let's say sample class. Okay, just create a class known as sample class. We'll be writing the code for reading the data from the Excel files. Okay, in this sample class, I'll be writing the code for reading the data from the Excel files. Here I'll create public static void main. Okay, main method I'll create string of args. So here I'll be writing the code for reading the data from the Excel files, but Excel file is not available in this project. As you can see here, this project doesn't have Excel files created. I'll right click on the project and select new. I'll create a folder known as files folder. Okay. I'll just create a random folder. You can give any name to this folder. I'm just giving files folder. Now, after creating the files folder under the project, we have to create a sample Excel file, say employees.xlsx. Okay. Let's go to some location. Okay. And here I'll delete all this stuff and create a new Excel file. I'll just name this file as employees. The extension will be, this is the latest version of MS Office. So definitely the extension will be XLSX. Right click on this employees and select properties. You'll get the extension as .xlsx. This is the latest version of Excel file, you can say. Open this employees. Then you just follow these instructions provided here, guys. Name the sheet one as, okay? Sheet one is there. You can have multiple sheets, but name the first sheet as, rename them as one. Okay, just give some random name here. It may not be one, it can be anything, guys. Also here, give some data, guys. Okay, give some data. 3 columns. Let's select some 3 columns and just give some data here. Okay, what is the data I wanted to give here? You can follow the instructions. Create 3 columns. First name, last name, location. The first one give first name. The second one give last name. Third one give location. 3 columns. Select these 3 columns and highlight with a different color. Now here give the data, guys. Arun Moturi. Okay. Here give some location, let's say Hyderabad or something. You can give more details also, like say experience if you want to give experience. Okay. Okay. Let's give 4 columns. Okay. I'll give the experience as 15 years of experience. Okay. Then Varun Dawat. I'll say Bangalore. I'll give 5 years of experience. Then I'll give Tarun. I'll say Bhaskar. Okay. I'll say Delhi. I'll give 10 years of experience. So for now, let's give only 3. Okay. I can give any sets of, okay, but I'll give only up to this 3. Okay. Let's work with this sample data, guys, for now. Save this. Okay. Save this in the sheet 1, sheet which is named as 1. We have this table having the data. Okay. Close this sheet. Go to the location where the sheet is closed, and this is the sheet I created, right? Copy this sheet and paste into the files folder here. Simply paste there. Okay. Now let's store the path of this employees.xls file into this string variable. String excel file path is equal to, give the path, guys. Okay. System dot get property user.dir. Simply give user.dir plus, now give the under the project, where exactly this employees under the project, directly under the files folder, give double /files. Under files folder, we have this employees employees dot xlsx. Okay, this is extension. So this is the Excel file path. Okay. Now after that, create a file. Create an object for the file class in Java. Name this file as Excel file. Okay, Excel file is equal to new file, and import this file class from Java library. And here provide this Excel file path, the constructor of the file class. Now create an object for the file input stream. File input stream FIS is equal to new file input stream. Okay, file input stream FIS is equal to new file input stream. Import this file input stream from java.io. And in the constructor of this file input stream, give this file object. Okay, Excel file. For the mouse, for now, in real time, you have to use try catch blocks for now, just to make the demonstration simple and smooth. I'm just ignoring the exception. Okay, but in real time, you have to use, it's better to use try catch blocks. Now, after creating an object for file input stream, which contains the Excel file and its path and all those stuff, now we have to use the library of POI API. Okay, till now, we have not used any library or predefined classes of POI API. This is all Java. These three lines belong to Java, guys. Okay, of course, this class also belongs to Java. This main method also belongs to Java. These three lines that I have written here representing the Excel file also belongs to Java. Okay, this file input stream is for reading the data from the Excel file. Okay, that's fine. But we need to use the predefined classes of the POI API going ahead. Okay, so the session is all about reading data from the Excel files using POI API and for loops in Java. Okay, so we have already named the sheet as one, created these columns. We have filled some data into these columns like Arun Moturi and experience, location and experience, like the 4 columns were there I created. You can, I also provided this template, guys. Okay, a template of this Excel file. Okay, if you don't want to create from scratch, you can download this template. Okay, I'll be providing this in the notes. You can take it from there. Now create sample class, already created a sample class, and I am demonstrating the code one using for loops. Okay, using for loops I am demonstrating, guys. This part I am going to demonstrate. Code 2 I'll demonstrate in the next session, guys. For now, code 1 I am going to demonstrate using for loops. In the next session we are going to use iterators instead of for loops. For now, in this session we'll use for loops. Okay, but anyhow, we have to start using the POI API. As if you already if you remember, guys, in the previous session explained, the predefined classes for the latest version of XLSX extension Excel files is we have to represent the entire Excel file. Okay, this entire Excel file that is provided here, this Excel file or Excel document or Excel workbook, you can say employees.xlsx is a workbook. Okay, how to represent that? For that, we have to create an object for XSSF workbook. This is a predefined class in POI API library. Okay, here I will say workbook simply is equal to new XSSF workbook. Like this, you have to first create an object for the XSSF workbook. Over the mouse and import this from which library? POI library, not from Java, guys. All this is from Java, but this one is from POI API. How we are getting this import statement? Because in the pom.xml file, just now we added these dependencies for POI, right? By default, Java came in this project, but the POI API has not come by default. We added the dependencies tag. In between the dependencies tag, we have added the dependencies for POI OXS schemas, and same version we maintain 4.1.2, 4.1.2 for POI, PI OXML and PI OXML schemas. Okay, that's the reason we are able to import this XSSF workbook predefined class from POI API library. Done. Now here, this constructor is not asking anything, but we have to provide this object reference of the file input stream. Okay. Now hover the mouse and ignore the exception, but in real time, it's better to use try catch blocks. For now, to make the demonstration simple, I'm just ignoring the exception. Now using this object reference, okay, workbook dot, I have to get the sheet. Okay. So let me open this document outside, guys. Okay, whatever the document I copied into the project. Okay, in the workbook, which sheet? The first sheet, right? Which is having the name as 1. How to get that sheet? Using this object reference workbook, you have to say dot get sheet. You see, when I say sheet here, there are two variations coming here. Okay, either using get sheet, we have to give the name of the sheet, or we can use get sheet index 0th index. If you give, that is also first sheet, guys. Okay, but since I already renamed the sheet 1, first sheet into one name. So I'll give the normal command. I'll use get sheet and I'll give the name of the sheet, guys. Okay, I'll give the name of the sheet. That is, the name of the sheet is one. Okay, ONE1. Just give the sheet name, or you can even use get sheet at index. That command also I have to give 0 there. Okay, to represent the first sheet, and this will return you XSSF sheet object. Okay, here I'll say simply sheet is equal to, now hover the mouse on the sheet, create local variable, you'll get the sheet. Once you get the sheet, in the sheet what in the sheet one, we need to get these rows. Okay, in the sheet there are rows, guys. Okay, how to get the rows? I want to get number of rows. Okay, before going getting all these rows, I want to get the number of rows. How to get the number of rows? For that I'll use this sheet dot get last row number. This is a method. Okay, XSF sheet predefined class has this method known as get last row number. Here 1 2 3 4, 4 is the number, right? So how many rows are there? 4 rows. The last row number is 4. Okay, row, I'll say rows is equal to, I'll say that's fine. Now I need to get number of columns. 1 2 3 4 columns. Here 4 rows are there, 4 columns are there, surprisingly. To get the number of columns, you can take any row, guys. First row or second row, any row you can take and get the columns. Okay, so but how to do that is she dot get row. Here row number I can give. Okay, first row, I'll better take the first row, guys. Okay, in all the rows there are 4 columns only, so I'll take one of the row, that is get row of 1 means first row. In that, get last cell number. If I say cell number, first cell, second cell, third cell, fourth cell, this number 4 will be returned here. So int columns is equal to 4 will be stored. Now we can start writing the for loop, guys. We know how many rows are there, how many columns are there. Okay, so for loop for int r is equal to 0, r less than, so index starts with 0, guys. Okay, r less than number of rows, that is this rows. We already found the number of rows here, r plus plus. Now inside that, what you have to do? Now inside this, using this current row, okay, we have to get the row. You see, you got the workbook, you got the sheet. Now we have to get the row. How to get the row? We have to say sheet dot get row, and we have to give this row number. What is that row number? R. Let's see. Get 1 minute. Sheet dot get row. Sorry, go on again. Get row. Okay, that is the only thing available. Row number we have to give. So I'll give R here. Okay, get row, the first iteration, get row of 0. Okay, get row of 0. Here also 0 can be there, 1 can be, any column can be, that's okay. Okay, get row, it will return you XSS of row. Okay, row is equal to, over the mouse, create local variable, you got XSS of row. This is how we have, this is a predefined class for representing the row. Once you got the row, now you create inner for loop, int c is equal to 0, c less than columns, C plus plus, C plus plus. Now here guys, in that particular row, row dot get cell, cell C. Okay, we have to give the index of the cell. It will return you XSS of cell. Okay, cell is equal to that particular cell in that particular iteration will be returned, and it will be defined with, declared with XSS of cell. Okay, you got the cell also. Okay, you got the row, you got the cell. In each and every iteration, the row will change, cell will change, and all those stuff. Now, this cell, this particular cell may contain string data, or this particular cell may contain sometimes numbers, numerical data, okay, sometimes Boolean data and all. That is the reason what we have to do is we have to write a switch case. Okay, switch case. What if the data is string format? Then what we have to do? Okay, before printing this cell data here, we have to find out which type of data is stored in the cell. For that, cell dot get cell type. Get cell type is a method. Okay, this is all from the POI API library, guys. Once you practice this program, most of the predefined classes of this POI API and the predefined methods here that we are using here will be habituated, and you will be able to use it, and your confidence will rise. Get cell type will return you cell type here. You see cell type. Okay. Cell type is equal to, we don't know which cell type it is. Dynamically, it will bring the cell type and we have to import the cell type from POI API. Just be make sure. And here I will write the switch case, switch cell type. Okay. Based on the cell type, I'll decide. Okay. Case, if it is string cell type, completely capital letter I have to give string cell type. Then what I have to do, system.out.println, system.out.println, cell dot, this particular cell that is dot, uh, there's separate methods guys. Okay. Get string cell value you have to use, get string cell value. Okay. For string you have to use get string cell value. For other types we have get number cell value like that. Okay. Break statement we have to use. If it is string is decided, I have to go to the second case. If it is number, if it is number, if it's a number or yeah, boolean error, numeric, sorry, it's not number, numeric guys. Okay. Numeric. Okay. It's giving suggestions properly. If it is numeric, that is numbers ultimately. System.out.println, system.out.println. You can write it in next line also guys, up to you. Okay. If you want to format it properly, you can write in next line system.out.println. Okay. And here say cell dot get numeric cell value you have to say. Okay. Because reading the data from this particular methods are reading the data from the Excel cells, but sometimes the cell data will be string type, sometimes the cell data will be numerical types. So single method is not there for reading different types of data. For reading the string data from the cells, we have to use string cell value, get string cell value. For reading the numerical data from the Excel cells, we have to use get numeric cell value. And here I have to use a break statement. Okay, break statement. Then don't use print ln here, just use print, just print guys. Okay, that's better. Case, and finally otherwise let's use it ln, and I'll explain why we have to remove this ln later. Okay, for now let's use ln here. I'll explain that. Okay, if it is boolean, okay, then system.out.println, if the data is in our sample Excel document, boolean is not there, numbers is numeric is there, string is there, but still let's put boolean here. If in case you have the boolean true or false kind of thing, get boolean cell value you have to use. Okay, and put the break statement here. That's it. The switch case is over guys, the switch case is over. Whatever the switch case is, it will print out. Okay. Now if I run this code, how the data will be printed, you see. Okay. How the data will be printed, you will see now. Okay. According to the printing, we'll change this logic a bit. Okay. Let's run this code, right click, run as Java application. How the data will be read from this Excel file and will be printed. You see, first name, last name, location, the first row columns, and experience also is a column. Then Arun Motori, Hyderabad, 15.0, Varun Dawat, Bangalore, 5.0 is coming. Okay. Numerical value is also coming. That's fine. Okay. Only two sets of data we gave, or three sets of data we gave. So let's find it out. We actually have given three sets of data. Tarun is not coming, guys. Okay. Tarun is not coming. So we have to say is equal to here. Okay. Just to increase one number here, we have to give is equal to, so that it will get the last one also. Run this. Now let's see whether all the data is coming or not. First of all, you see till Tarun is just coming 5.0, 10.0, 15.0. According to this, whether all data is coming or not, you have to change the logic. Here is equal to is missing, so it's fine now. Now next one is, the problem with this data is I want to print this columns, all these columns in the same line. So what I will do is I will remove this print ln from here, print ln from here, print ln from here. Normal print statement will print in the same line, and okay, let's see what will happen. Run this, right click, run as Java application. What will happen? Let's see. You see everything is getting printed in the same line. Okay, that's the problem. So what I will do is, after inner for loop, I'll give something like system.out.println, println statement I'll give. Okay, now let's see what will happen. Just change the logic according to our needs. Okay, so now if I run this, you see again the same problem is coming. First name, last name, location. I should not be writing here. This one I have written inside after switch case, guys. I have to written after the inner for loop. That is the problem I am making here. After the inner for loop, I have to write. Okay. After this inner for loop is up to here. After inner for loop, you have to write println. I was writing inside actually. That is the problem. Now run this. This time you will see first name, last name, location, experience. Arun, Moturi, Hyderabad 15, Varun Dawat, Bangalore 5.0. We are reading this data from the Excel files, guys. This data is coming from the Excel file, employees.xlsx file that is provided here. Okay, but the problem was there is no gap between this first name column, last name column, and also these values are also tightly bound. Okay, so what I will do here is after this inner for loop, after this inner for loop, I'll just give one more print statement system.out.println, or I can also give something like this. Okay, plus give some space, plus give some space. Instead of writing this, I can give like that. Whenever you are printing the data, just give some space after that. Okay, instead of writing this 3 times, okay, I'll tell you the better solution anyhow. Right click, run as Java application. This time you'll get a gap. First name space, last name space, location space, experience. Arun Motori, Hyderabad 15. Varun Dawat, Bangalore 5.0. Okay, Tarun Bhaskar, Delhi. This is coming fine, but instead of writing this space in all the 3 things, okay, if 6 statements are there, 6 times you have to write this space, right? Instead of doing that, single time you can do it here. System.out.println, give that space, one space here. For all the values, only one space will be applied anyhow. Now run this, the same output you will get. Okay, same output you will get. You'll get the same output, guys, you see. And an extra, okay, what's the problem here? Here I have to say print, guys, not print ln. Okay, that is the problem. Now run this. You should get a proper output this time. Print ln. Instead of ln, you have to use normal print. So what's the problem here? It's going to the new line, but space is not getting appended. Okay, due to some reasons, the space is not getting appended. I will take this inside after the switch case. Okay, after the switch case, I will take this space. Okay, then it will be okay. Right click, run as inside the inner for loop. I have to write. Let's see. This will work out. You see, now it is working out. Okay, just play with the logic, guys. That's it. Now we are able to read the data from the Excel file properly and in a proper format. We are able to print it here. That's okay. Now, thing is that we have to close this workbook, guys. We have to close the workbook. At the end, simply at the end, guys, inside the main method is still here. Here, simply say workbook dot close. That's it. Okay, everything is done. Okay, everything is done, guys. Now everything, control shift O, unnecessary import statements will be removed. And this is the logic, guys. This is the logic for, okay, reading the data from the Excel files using POI API and for loops. Okay. In the next session, I'll demonstrate how to use iterators in place of the for loops. For now, using for loops, external for loop, internal for loop, rows and columns thing, I was able to print the data. Right, all this data got printed, and this data is coming from the Excel files. We are reading this data using the POI API, predefined classes and methods, and able to get it with the help of the Java programming. We are mixing this POI API libraries, classes, and all those stuff, and getting this output. Okay, finally, we are able to read the data from this Excel file and print it here. That's what is a thing that we have done. Okay, so this is what is known as reading data from Excel files using POI API and for loops, guys. Okay, so yeah, that's it, guys. That's it. That's all about this session. In the next session, I'll demonstrate how to use iterators in place of for loop for reading the data from the Excel files. Same POI API libraries will be there, classes and everything. In place of for loops, you are going to replace for loops with iterators. You can either use for loops if you are comfortable. You can also use iterators, guys. But iterators, I'm going to demonstrate in the next session. So that's all for this session, guys. So that's all for this session, where I have demonstrated how to read data from Excel files using POI API library and for loops in Java. Okay, so in the next session, I'm going to cover another topic of Apache POI API for you. Till then, see you. Bye bye. Hello all. Welcome to part 5 of Apache POI API training series. In this session, I'm going to explain and practically demonstrate how to read data from Excel files using POI API and iterators in Java. So let's get started. This session is an extension of the previous session. Okay, most of the things that I am going to explain in this session are already covered as part of the previous session, guys. You already know how to read the data from the Excel files using POI API, but we were using for loops. Okay, for loops in the previous session. Just go and watch the previous session, guys. But in the current session, I'm going to replace the for loops with the iterators. That's the only difference, guys. Remaining all are same. Okay, Maven project creation, downloading, and download POI API libraries and put them in the from the MVN repositories and put them in the pom.xml file. Okay, already we have created the files folder and we created a sample Excel file having the employees.xls x data having like 4 columns. Okay, 4 columns and three rows of data. Okay, apart from the heading, we have one more heading actually. Okay, and creating a sample class, and then we were actually in the previous session we followed code one where we have used for loops. Now in this session, guys, only small differences. Everything is same. I'm not going to create the Maven project again and all. They're already there, guys. Maven project is already created. The file is already there. Everything is in place. Okay, the sample class is there. Main method is there. Okay, so we have created the object for the workbook. We have retrieved this sheet using the sheet name from the Excel file. Okay, then we have this part is not required, guys. Okay, from here it is not required. You don't have to get the number of rows, number of columns. This part is not required. So what I will do here is I'll write, I'll just comment the code from here. I'll remove the code, guys. After the necessary things are done, I'll remove the code. Here I'll just like this. Now you see, first we have to create an object for the workbook and then we have to retrieve the sheet, okay, in which the data is available. And after that, what I do is something different, okay. I'll say sheet dot iterator, okay. I'll use this method known as iterator method of this XSFS sheet, okay. What does it return? What does this iterator return? It is returning iterator of row, okay. Here I'll say iterator of row itr row, okay, itr row iterator this is, okay. Pour the mouse on this iterator and import this iterator from java.util package, guys, and import this so what actually I'll remove this, better to create like this, okay. Pour the mouse and say create local variable, it will be very easy. The capital row, this row is coming from POI API and this iterator is coming from Java, guys, okay. Now I'll say while loop I'll use. Okay. Instead of using for loops, I'm using iterators here. Okay. I'm using the iterator method of this XF sheet, which is returning the iterator of row. Okay. Sheet will contain rows, rows will contain cells. Okay. That's the format. Then I'll say itr row, this particular object reference dot has next. Then I'll put this body and say itr row dot next. What does it return? What is this next method will return? It will return the row, guys. It will return the row. Okay. It will return the row. So I'll say row is equal to one of the row it will return. Okay. Row. Now I'll simply say row dot iterator again. Okay. In this sheet, we have different rows. Now in this row, we have again iterator came. This row class also is having an iterator method and it is returning iterator of cell. Okay. ITR cell is equal to, I'll say, for the mouse, create local variable. And here again, another while loop I'll use. And I'll say itr cell dot has next. Okay. So this is another way, guys. I'm not using for loops anywhere, you see. Then here I'll say itr cell dot next. This will get you the cell, actual cell. Okay. In the form of cell, it is coming. Okay. I'll say cell is equal to create local variable cell. Okay. Now the same logic that I have implemented inside the inner for loop, that is switch case. Okay, we have to find out the cell type. First of all, we have to find out the cell type. Cell dot get cell type. Okay, this will get you the cell type, guys. It will return you the cell type. Cell type is equal to this is a variable and hover the mouse and say create local variable. Done. Cell type. Now switch case. Switch off cell type. Okay, switch off cell type. Same logic. Whatever we have written inside the inner for loop, right? That we have to write here. Instead of wasting time, I'll just copy paste, guys. In the previous session, I already covered this. The cell type is string type in the Excel rows and cells, right? In Excel file, there will be sheets. In sheets, there will be rows. In rows, there will be cells. In each and every cell, there can be any type of data. It can be string data. It can be numerical data. It can be Boolean data. Whatever the data is there. So based on the type of the data, we are getting that particular data from the sheet. Okay. The methods are same, guys. Okay. If it is a string type of data in the cell, we'll retrieve the data from the Excel cells with the help of this method known as cell dot get string cell value. If the type of the data that is provided in the Excel sheet cells is numerical type, then get numerical cell value. Okay, like that we'll use a method. Same logic, guys, whatever I covered in the previous session. I'll just paste it here. Okay, just to save time. Here only print statements will be there. Same logic we have to implement, guys. Okay, you don't have to do any difference. After the switch case, you write this. Okay, after the switch case, you write this space thing. You don't have to provide space after everything. And here, after the inner for loop, you have to provide system.out.println new line. Okay, till here only print statements are there. Now println is coming here. Okay, here you have to say like this. Okay, that's it, guys. Nothing much. Now you don't have to use any for loops or something. You can remove all this logic, guys. Okay, the previous session logic you can remove. So in place of the for loops, we have used iterator and iterator interface, iterator method of this XSF sheet and iterator method of this row class. Okay, and then we have used external for loop, while loop, and internal while loop, internal while loop, and we have used these methods of this iterator interface known as next and next. Okay, if you're good with Java, you can understand them easily, guys. Okay, so that's okay. So this is what is the thing, guys. We should get the same output that we got with the for loops. Now I have not used for loops, I have used iterator, guys, because why I'm explaining this logic is few people will be while implementing this POI API and Java, right? A few people will be using for loops for reading the data from the Excel files, and few people will be using the iterator. Okay, it depends on different people. We should have both the knowledge. Okay, in case of for loop, you should be able to understand the code. In case of this iterators being used, you should also be able to understand this code. That's the reason I am demonstrating this separately in this session. Okay. Okay, the code is here. As you can see, the complete code is there in the mind map. Okay, that is part of the notes. Fine, guys. So let's see whether the data will be retrieved or not. Okay, this is more effective way, dynamic way you can say than the for loops. In for loops, you have to get the number of rows and number of columns, but in iterators, you don't have to do that. Iterator knows when the things are completed, when all the rows are completed, when all the cells are completed, it will come to know. Okay, automatically, it's very dynamic. Okay, you don't have to know the number of rows and columns in this case. Okay, so I also prefer to use iterators over the rows, the for loops, guys. But few people use for loops for his people may understand for loops more better than iterators, so people may use for loops. And if you're good with iterators is more effective solution, I can say. Okay, run this, guys. Run this and see whether we are getting the proper output from the whatever the data that is there in the Excel sheet is coming or not. We'll see. You see, 3 records are there. As you already know, in Excel sheet there are 3 records: first name, last name, location, experience. 3 records are there. 3 data sets are there: Arun Motori, Hyderabad 15; Varun Dawat, Bangalore 5; Tarun Bhaskar, Delhi 10. Did we get that? Let's see. First name, last name, location, experience: Arun Motori, Hyderabad 15; Varun Dawat, Bangalore 5.0; Tarun Bhaskar, Delhi 10. We are getting the proper. You are able to read the data from the Excel sheets, Excel files, guys. Okay, using the iterators also. So hope, guys, you understood how to read the data from the Excel files using POI API and iterators in Java in this session. So that's all for this session. In the next session, I'm going to cover another topic on API, Apache POI API training series. Okay, I'll be covering that in the next session. Another topic on this Apache POI API training series. So that's all for this session. Thank you. See you in the next session. Bye.
Hello all, welcome to part 6 of Apache POI API training series. In this session, I'm going to explain and practically demonstrate how to write data into Excel files using POI API. Okay, in the previous session, I covered how to read the data from the Excel files using POI API and by using for loops. Okay, so there are 2 ways I showed you, but now I'm going to demonstrate how to write data. Okay, here reading data, but here writing the data into the Excel files using POI API. Here also we are going to use for loops, guys. That's okay. But main thing is POI API, how to use POI API for writing the data into the Excel files. Okay, it's a continuation of the previous sessions. Okay, if you directly came to this session, I recommend you to go through the previous sessions in this training series, like understand what is Apache POI, then understand Excel files, and what are Excel files and how they are related to POI API classes. Okay, how to read the data from the Excel files using these techniques and all. Now you can continue with this session, guys, writing data into the Excel files using POI API. Here is a code, guys. Okay, so I'll practically demonstrate this code for you from scratch. Okay, whatever the code I have provided in this mind map. Okay, whatever that is available. Okay, the same code is available in this notes, guys. Okay, you can take the same code. Okay, so here I'm going to demonstrate now. So already the Maven project is there. Inside the Maven project, we have this under src test Java or somewhere. we have this class known as demo.java class. Inside that, we have the main method. Now here, I need to use POI API, guys. Okay, I need to write some logic using POI API so that we can write the data into the Excel files. Okay, here we are going to use a combination of POI API and Java code. Okay, so first, as you already know, we have XSS workbook. Okay, workbook is equal to new, create an object for this, guys. Okay, it's a workbook. Like this, create an object for the XSS workbook. Put a semicolon. Now hold the mouse on XSS workbook and you will not get any import statement. The reason behind that is this project by default comes with only Java library. It doesn't have the POM. It doesn't have the POI API libraries. Okay, we should be added to the POM.xml file. Just open the POM.xml file of this Maven project and scroll down here. You have dependency tags. Inside the dependencies, just go to the MVN repository. Inside the dependencies tags, okay, just go to the Maven repository, that is MVN repository, and search for POI. Simple 3 letters POI. Okay, you'll get 3 things, guys, here: POI, POI OXML, POI OXML schemas. Okay, we have to take the latest common version out of these 3 things. Okay, so if I go to this POI OXML schema here, if you can see here, the latest version is available is 4.1.2. If I go to this POI OXML, we have the latest version as 5.2.3, which is lesser 4.1.2. So here also I'll take a common version, that is 4.1.2, because we have to take the latest common version among 3. Okay. So if I go to the POI also, here also we have 5.2.3, but latest common is 4.1.2. I will take all 4.1.2s from these 3 things. Okay. POI, POI OXML, and POI OXML schemas. Okay, 3 things. So one by one I'll first take this one, XML schemas, copy this, come back to the pom.xml file under the dependency tags, paste it. Okay. Now, once it is done, just close this part and go to the other one, that is POI OXML. This is, take the 4.1.2, which is the latest common version across 3. Copy this, come back here and paste the dependencies here. Done. Now, third one is required. For that, we'll go here, close this. The third one is simple POI. Okay. Here also, latest common is 4.1.2. I'll take that, copy and paste it here. Done. Done, guys. These 3 things are done. Save this, save all. Now, the libraries for this POI API got downloaded and successfully configured with this project. Hover the mouse on XSS workbook. For some time, it may not appear. Hover the mouse again. You see, it is coming now. Okay, import that XSS workbook from POI API. Okay, Apache POI API. Fine. Now, once you have done that, once you create an object for this XSS workbook, which represents the entire workbook, okay, Excel file. What next we have to do is, we have to say workbook dot create sheet. Create a sheet, guys. Okay. You see, there is no workbook now. In this project, there is no workbook, right? At this moment, there is no workbook. I want to create a sheet here. How to create that sheet? I have to give a name to this sheet, guys. Okay, whatever the name you want to give to the sheet, I'll say sheet 1. Okay, some randomly I'm giving sheet 1. We'll see that. Okay, whether the sheet is getting created or not, we'll see that. Over the mouse, after creating the sheet, it will return you the XSF sheet as an object of the XSF sheet. I'll say sheet is equal to, okay, create local variable. You can say sheet 1 also if you want. Okay. Then after creating the sheet, what you have to do? Have to create the rows inside this sheet. Okay, in this workbook, I'm creating a sheet. Inside this sheet, I have to create rows, and in each and every row, we have to create the cells. That's what is a. So how to do that? For doing that, okay, so we need some data, guys, right? So in order to create rows, and in each and every row, you have to create cells, means we have to enter some data into that rows and cells. Then only rows and cells will be created. Without data, creating the rows and cells is not possible. Okay, but here workbook is there, sheet is there. Now we have to create rows and cells. How to create the rows and cells? First, we need data. I told you, right? We need data. How to create the data? I'll be creating a 2-dimensional object array. Okay, I'll say data. Whatever the data that need to be entered into this sheet 1 of this workbook in the form of rows and cells, I'm creating here. Here I create a shortcut representation of the 2-dimensional array. I'll provide this thing. let's say 4 sets of data I'll provide. In the first set, I'll provide the data of columns, headings, okay? Column headings, you can say, cell headings or column headings, whatever you can say. I'll say name, comma, location, comma, experience, some random things I'm giving, okay? Uh, if you want one more, you can create one more also, guys. Okay, name, location, experience I'm giving for now. Here, name, I'll give as first set of data I'm giving. Okay, under this name, this Arun will come in the second row. This is first row, guys. This is the first row. Now this is going to the second row. Okay, what I'm writing here is the second row. Arun is a name. Location is Hyderabad. Okay, and third thing is experience. Experience, I'll give some number, guys. I'll give something like 16. Now come back here. I'll say Varun. Okay, Bangalore. Then here I'll say 8. Okay. Then here I'll say Tarun. Hyderabad, Bangalore, say Delhi, and it'll give some experience as 4. Okay. Here, first row, second row, third row, fourth row. And here, this ends. This two-dimensional object array ends here. Okay. Like this. I can say tap so that we can organize them properly. It's okay, guys. Okay. To have them. Okay. This is what the data I want to enter into that Excel file. Okay, the data that I want to enter into this sheet in the form of rows and cells into that Excel. Okay, what I'm going to mention at this moment in this project, there is no Excel file, guys. Okay, we are going to do that when the time comes. For now, we make the data ready. Okay, this data need to be entered into the Excel. Okay, but there is no Excel file here. So now the data is available. There are no rows and columns in this sheet. There are no rows and cells in this sheet. So I have to create rows and cells. Here only sheet I created. In this workbook, I created the sheet, right? I created the sheet. In that sheet, I have to create the rows, and in that rows, I have to create cells. Okay. For now, only sheet is created and data to be entered into that to be created rows and cells is ready. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a for loop. For first of all, I can know that with this data, I can know how many rows will be there, how many cells will be there, I can know, right? So here rows are 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't have to count it manually, guys. But what I can do is I can create a variable int rows. Okay, rows is equal to data dot length. Okay, data dot. Okay, any problem here? Here I have to put semicolon, guys. Then it will work. So data dot coming this data dot. Okay, something going wrong. Yeah, this is fine. Data, two-dimensional object array. Yes, right. Any mistake I'm doing anywhere? What is this problem? I'll remove this line. Just see. Before that, before writing this, I'll just figure out the mistakes. So here, this is the main method it is saying. Okay, already this, okay, this extra thing came, guys. Okay, that's the problem. Now it's fine. Int rows is equal to data dot length. Okay, and int cells or columns. Okay, how many columns? The number of cells in every row is nothing but columns. Okay, data of 0. That means first row. Any row you can take. Every row will have the same number of columns. Okay, data of 0, data of 1, whatever the. Okay, simply say dot length. Okay, this will give you the number of columns. Now you have the number of rows and number of columns. Okay, you see, if you say data of 0, that means this is a data of 0. In that, how many? What is the length? 1, 2, 3 is the length. This data dot length is nothing but how many rows? First row, second row, third row, fourth row. This is 4, this is 3. Okay. So now for loop for int r is equal to 0. I have to create the rows, guys. Okay. I'm not retrieving the data from the rows. I am creating the rows. Okay. For creating the rows, we have to use different methods, different predefined methods of this Apache POI API. R less than rows. semicolon r plus plus. Okay, like this I'll create a for loop. Now create, here I need to create the row, guys. Okay, in every iteration I have to create a row. How to create a row? For that I have to say in the sheet 1 I want to create the row. Okay, in this workbook I created the sheet. First sheet I created a sheet 1. In the sheet 1 I have to create the row. Here sheet 1 dot create row I have to say. So here I have to give the index of the row r. Just give r here. Just give r here. Here r is the index of the row. Okay, so it will create the row, guys. Okay, with this 0. Okay, 0th index row, that will be the first row. It will return you the object of the XSF row. That is I'll say row is equal to, otherwise I'll say row is equal to, over the mouse create local variable. It will add the return type of this method automatically. XSF row is equal to sheet1 dot create row. Now the row is created. Here create row we are using, okay, to create the row. We are creating the row according to the data available that need to be entered into the sheet. Based on the number of rows and number of columns required, we are creating the rows. Okay. Now for every row, in every row, I have to create the cells. I have to create the cells. So int c is equal to 0. Okay, I'm writing this logic for creating the cells, guys. Okay, c less than columns, semicolon, c plus plus, and here start and ending of the for loop. Here write down inside this row, whatever that is created as part of the iteration, external for loop iteration, in that row I have to create cell. Okay, so what is the cell? Give the index of the cell. This c you have to give. Okay, now, okay, here columns spelling is wrong. Now it will be okay. Now row dot create cell. This will create the cell based on that. In that row, it is creating the cell. For every row, the cells will be created. Okay, because for every external for loop, inner for loop will be created. For every iteration of the external for loop, inner for loop will be run for each and every cell. Okay, so each and all the cells are getting created for the each and every row. It will return you the existence of cell. So cell is equal to over the mouse create local variable. Automatically, the return type of this method will be added here. Now cell got created. Now I want to know. Now I want to know the data that I want to enter. Okay. So what is the data that I want to enter, guys? This is the data I want to enter. Okay. So into this first row, first cell, name need to be entered. But how to get that? What is the row and column index of this name? 0, 0, right? This is R, this is 0. So we have to say data of R and C. R is 0 now, C is 0 now in the first iteration. What is data of RC will retrieve? It will retrieve the name. Okay, it will retrieve the name. It is a two-dimensional object. So I'll say, here I'll say, what I can say, object D is equal to something. Okay, cell data, otherwise say cell data, cell data. Okay, object, what I did, I just selected some option, it came. You just ignore that. Object cell data is equal to cell value. You can also say cell value also. Okay, cell value is equal to, okay, is equal to data RC. Now you got the cell value that need to be entered into this just now created cell of this particular row. Then how to enter the data? You see the data can be in the form of string. It can be in the form of numbers. Sometimes it can be in the form of Boolean or whatever the data type. So what I will do here is I will verify what the type of the data that is there in the cell value. What type of cell value it is. So for that I will write some logic guys. If okay, cell value, if cell value instance of what is the type of, okay, instance of cell value is this one. Cell value instance of it is instance of string. If this cell value is, if this whatever the data that is in there in the two-dimensional array is a string type, then what I will do is I'll write the logic like this. Okay, into this cell, into this create just now created cell. Okay, I have to set means insert, set cell value. You see, set cell value is there. What is the cell value? This is the cell value. Okay, we already extracted the cell value, which is of object type. So here it's confirmed as string. So I have to typecast it as string. Okay, it will be converted. Now else cell value instance of, if it is integer, I'll write like this. Okay, it is integer cell dot set cell value. And what is cell value? This is a cell value this time. And it should be typecasted with integer. Okay, integer. Then else if cell value instance of, if it's instance of, okay, cell that value provided in this domain object array is of Boolean type, if it is, okay, Boolean. Then you have to say cell dot set cell value. Here have to typecast the cell value with Boolean. Okay, convert that from object to Boolean. Cell value. Okay, done. These parts are done, guys. Okay, now after you create the sheet, after you create the cells and rows and cells, and then set the cell value, then now the time has come for writing the data. Okay, how to write the data? Finally, you have to say workbook. Okay, here at the end of this external for loop, this is end. Here write down workbook dot write. There's a method known as write. Now write all this data. Okay, how to, this is expecting the output stream. How to create an object for file output stream, guys. Okay, file output stream FOS is equal to new file output stream. Okay, file output stream is equal to new file output stream. Import this file output stream from java.io, and here write down file is equal to new file. Okay, put a semicolon. Now here hover the mouse on the file and import this from java.io package, and here write down system dot get property user dot dir the project path. I'm giving some here I'm under the project, I'm creating a folder known as files folder. Okay, I'll not create an Excel file here. Okay, Excel file will be automatically created by this code. So how? So when you say when whatever the path you give here, double backward slash files, and you just give some name for the Excel file, just say employees. Okay, employees dot xlsx. Okay, like that you give some name and extension of the Excel file, and take this file and put into the constructor of the file output stream, and take this file output stream and put into the constructor of the write method. Hover the mouse, ignore for now, but in real time you have to use try catch blocks. For now I'm ignoring because I'm confident. So now after that I will say workbook dot close. Okay, close the workbook. Okay, so it's a good practice to close the objects. Okay, if they are giving some warning messages and all of objects. Okay, once the task is done, you can close the objects. Okay, so here I'm closing as part of the best practice, and here I'll write a print statement saying task completed. Okay, task completed. That means task completed means the Excel file got created. Okay, here by writing this workbook.write, okay, and by providing this name and all in the form of file output stream, the Excel file will be created automatically with this name and extension. Okay, after the Excel file got created, in that Excel file, a sheet will be created with the name sheet1. In that sheet, with this data, the rows will be created based on the amount of data. The number of rows will be created and the number of cells will be created. And each and every cell, the data will be inserted. If it is of string type, it will be from object type, it will be converted to the string type, and then okay, typecasted string type, and data will be entered into the particular cell or row and cell, particular row, and in that particular row, in that particular cell, data will be entered. Using this for loops, we are doing that, guys. Okay. So now this is and finally, once everything is done, once the workbook got created, in that sheet got created with the given name, and workbook got created with this given name and extension, in that workbook sheet got created with that given name, and in that sheet the rows and cells got inserted with the given data here. Okay, then finally, okay, if everything is going well, this print statement need to be printed. Okay, so if there is an error, the print statement will not be printed. You'll get an exception or something, null pointer exception, some kind of exceptions you'll get if some problem is with the logic. Otherwise, you'll get task completed, and then you can refresh this project to see that under files folder, an Excel file will be there with that given sheet name. And in that sheet, with the given data, the number of rows and number of cells will be created with, and with the inserted data. Okay, we'll run this code now without any delay. You see task completed. That means we have successfully written the program to write the data into the Excel file. Okay. So earlier I didn't even create an Excel file. Now refresh the project, guys. Refresh the project. If you get an Excel file, then we are good. You see Excel file got created. Right click. Open with system editor. System editor means your computer system editor. Okay. System editor. It will open in your computer machine. computer machine will open this Excel file, and you can see this Excel file, guys. The name of the Excel file is employees.xlsx that we have given here. You see, whatever the name we have given here got created. Employees.xlsx file got created, and in that the first sheet got created, sheet one. Okay, why the name sheet one came here? Because I said workbook.create sheet one. Whatever the name I given here, that has been added as the name of this first sheet. In that sheet, how many rows? 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. You see, whatever the rows I mentioned here, right? So first row, second row, third row, four rows. Okay, data dot length is returning the number of rows, that is four rows. You see, four rows got created. In that, one, two, in every row we have three cells. You see, one, two, three cells got created. Name, location, experience in the first row, and second row has Arun Hyderabad 16. You see, the integer values got properly typecasted and inserted into this using the here create row is used for creating the rows, and create cell is used for creating the cells, and for setting the data we have set cell value. Okay, we have used set cell value to insert the data into these rows and cells, and finally to create the Excel file with all this data and all those stuff, we have used a write method here. Okay, the entire Excel file got created, then sheet got created. In that sheet, rows and cells got created with the inserted data, with the data being set. You see, this is how we can insert the data into the Excel files. And the logic for this is all provided in the notes, guys. You can take the logic from here. Whatever the logic I covered is available as part of this notes. Okay. So, guys, that's all for this session. Hope you have understood how to write the data into the Excel files using Apache POI API. Okay. So I'll see you in the next session where I'm going to cover another topic on Apache POI API. Till then, see you. Bye-bye. Hello all. Welcome to part 7 of Apache POI API training series. In this session, I'm going to explain and practically demonstrate how to add background colors to the Excel cells. So let's get started. In the previous session, I have explained and practically demonstrated how to write the data into the Excel files using POI API. Similarly, using the POI API, how to format the cells in the Excel file with colors, okay, with different colors. I'm going to cover in this session, okay, with the help of POI API, how to format the Excel cells with different colors, okay. So I'm going to practically demonstrate this for you, okay. I'm going to practically demonstrate this code for you guys. You see, there is a very lengthy code here. I'm going to demonstrate that, okay. So if you have to understand this particular session, guys, I recommend you to watch the previous session, okay. On watching the previous session, this session will be more easy, okay. That's what I recommend. Just go to the previous session. If you have not, you have directly come here. So first, what I have to do is, here we have a sample project, guys. It's a sample Maven project, which came by default with the Java library. Inside this, under src test Java, here we created a demo class. Under that, we have the main method. Here, I have to write the Java and POI API code. Okay, POI API, Apache POI API and Java code together, so that we can format this. Okay, we can format the Excel cells with different background colors. Okay. So for that, first I have to create an object for the XSF workbook, okay, from POI API. Workbook is equal to new XSF workbook. Now, the moment I create an object, when I hover the mouse on this XSF workbook, I'll not be able to import. You see, I'm not getting an import statement because this project is not yet configured with this Apache POI API library. How to do that? Go to the pom.xml file, open the pom.xml file of this Maven project and go to the dependency stacks. And here in the dependency stacks, in between them, you just need to add the dependencies of the POI API. So for that, we have to browse mvnrepository.com and search for POI. Simple 3 letters, that is POI. When you search for POI, you'll get Apache POI, Apache POI, POI OXML, Apache POI, POI OXML schemas. These 3 items are required. Okay, we need to add the dependency tags of these 3 items as part of POI API library. Okay, so but which version I have to choose for POI and POI OXML and POI OXML schemas? The common latest version out of 3. Okay, I'll open these 3 things. I'll open this POI, POI OXML and POI OXML schemas. 3 items I'm opening. And if you can see here, in the POI, we have latest version of 5.2.3. In POI OXML also, we have 5.2.3. But in POI OXML schemas, we have the latest version as 4.1.2. So we have to take the latest common version, 4.1.2. Here, latest common is 4.1.2 only. Here also, the latest common is 4.1.2. We'll stick to the 4.1.2 guys. I'll open this, I'll click on this 4.1.2, copy this, and come back here and paste the dependencies of POI, organize it by pressing tab. The next one, here also 4.1.2 is a common latest version, even though we have the latest version because OXML schemas doesn't have the 5.2 point something. So we are going the 4.1.2 for now. Okay. Here also I copy paste the y OXML, organize it and come back here. And here also the latest version is 4.1.2. Copy this and paste it here. Done. That's it, guys. Okay. After this, just simply click on Save All button. Okay. In a while, the libraries, there is a jars of this three files. Okay, three dependencies will be automatically downloaded. Once the progress is done, you can see the Maven dependencies here. All the jar files got automatically downloaded and configured in this project for POI 4.1.2. That's fine. Now close this form.xml file and hover the mouse on XSF workbook, and you will get this import statement now. Okay, import that. Once imported, the XSF workbook from POI API. Now say workbook dot. So here, this represents the entire Excel file. Okay. Now, using this object reference, I'm going to create a sheet. Create sheet. Okay. So create sheet with a sheet name. You can give a sheet name, guys. Whatever the sheet name you want to want the particular sheet to be created at the first position of this Excel workbook or Excel file. Let's say I'll just name this as sheet one only. Okay. I'm just giving the name as sheet one. Okay. Sheet one will be created for the mouse, and it will return the object of the XSF sheet. I'll say sheet one is equal to over the mouse and say create local variable. Automatically, the return type of this method will be added here and declared to this variable. That's fine. Now we got the sheet. Inside the sheet, I need to add some data. Okay. So the data that I want to add to the sheet, I will prepare that. Okay. So I'll do one thing. I'll just create a string two-dimensional array. Okay. Array data is equal to, that is Excel data. Otherwise, you can say Excel data also. This is also fine. Excel data, whatever the data you want to fill into that Excel in this particular workbook, in this particular sheet, in the form of rows and cell, whatever the data you want to fill into that particular sheet, right? You have to prepare that data here. I'll prepare the data. I'll prepare a simple data, guys. I'll not make it complex. I'll just say name. So here it's a two-dimensional array, right? So what I'll do is first I'll give curly braces. In that, how many sets of data you want? That many sets of curly braces you have to give. Let me give them as 4. And here I'll give name, okay, as the heading. In the first row, name will be there. In the second row, let's say Arun will be there. The third row, Varun will be there. In the fourth row, Tarun will be there. Okay. I'm not having multiple cells, guys. Here only one row, one cell is there. That's okay. So just for sample, I'm taking this. Now what I'm trying to do here is, I want to find how many rows are there, how many columns are there, that is cells are there for every row. Int rows is equal to Excel data dot length. If I say this will get the number of rows. That is 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 rows. Okay, the 4 rows will come here. And in similar manner, I say int columns is equal to Excel data of 0, 0 or 1 or whatever you want to give. 0 means first row dot length. Okay, what is the what? How many elements are in this first row? Only one. So it columns will be one only. Now I'll write the for loop. Okay, in the previous session only I covered this logic, so I'm just going a bit faster. Okay, not too much fast, but a bit faster. Okay, so int r is equal to 0, r less than rows, okay, semicolon r plus plus. Row will start with index 0, guys, and till the less than the rows. Okay, index 0 to here 4 will come, means less than 4 means 3. 0 to 3 is nothing but 4 only. Okay, now for every row I have to create a, for every iteration here I have to create a row. How to create the row? With the help of the sheet. In this sheet I want to create the row. How to create? Sheet 1 dot create row having this particular index r. Okay, r is the index. In the first iteration, r is equal to 0, like that, and so on. It will return you the object of this XSF row. Okay, row is equal to, I'll say, over the mouse on this row and say create local variable. That's it. Okay, the row has been created. Here, create row we have to use. Here, we already created a sheet, and according to the data, according to the number of rows and number of columns, we are creating the row here. And now, according to the number of columns, we are going to create the cells also. Okay. So what next? So the next thing is for int c is equal to 0, cell is equal to 0, cell less than columns c plus plus. Okay. Now here I need to create the column. I will create the cell. How to create the cell? For every row, I have to create the number of cells. In every row, how many cells are there? Only one. Only one cell. Only one iteration it will go through. Row dot create cell. Okay. And here we have to give c, lowercase c. Okay. It will return you. Okay. C is this one, guys. Okay. Only one iteration because less than one means only one iteration it will go through. Okay. So excess of cell here I'll say cell is equal to depending on the number of here we can give more cells also, but I'm just going with this as sample example because our focus is on the formatting the Excel cells with different background colors. Okay, that's what is a core topic. So we are focusing more on sample data I'm creating, and the more focus will be on that formatting of the cells with the different colors. Okay. So once cell is created, I want to add the data into the cell. How to add the data into the, how to set the cell value? To set the cell value, first I have to get the data. Okay. So I'll say Excel data of row and column. Okay. If row is equal to 0 and column is equal to 0, this name will come. This name I want to store into string cell value. Okay. Cell value, I'll say. So cell value is there. Now I need to set this cell value into this particular cell. Okay. How? Cell dot, this particular cell dot set cell value. Okay, set cell value. So here I have to set the cell value. Cell value done. So this will set the cell value, guys. Okay, let's see whether this part is working or not. Once this is working, then we'll work on other stuff. Okay, first let's write down the normal code for creating this Excel workbook and creating the sheet. Inside the sheet, how to create the rows, how to create the cells, how to set this data into this particular Excel file. All those things we'll write down. Okay, once this is done, guys. Okay, this is external for loop. After this, I'll create a I'll write this whatever I'll create the workbook is okay. How to create the workbook? I have to say write workbook dot write off. Okay, output stream it is expecting. So here I'll write file. All these things I covered in the previous session, guys. Okay, just repeating this file output stream. FIS is equal to new file output stream. Put a semicolon here and hold the mouse on file output stream and import this. And here this will expect the file, guys. File. So I'll say file is equal to new file Excel file is equal to this Excel file gets new file of where is Excel file system dot get property. Okay, this is not properties, get property guys dot get property system dot get property user dot dir. Okay, user dot dir plus double backward slash. Here I want to create a folder known as files folder. Right click new folder, that is files folder. Under the files folder, I want to create that file. Okay, files, name of the Excel file. Let's say this is the names dot xlsx file I want to create. Okay, in that names dot xlsx file, which is represented as the workbook, in that I want to create a sheet. In that sheet, I want to create a row. In that row, I want to create the cells. Okay, that's what is the format. And in that cells, I am setting this particular data. I'm adding this data name Arun Varun Tarun. Name is a heading. Under that, Arun Varun Tarun will come. Okay, here import this file from java.io package and here pass this FOS into this null, and now over the mouse on this and say here we need to pass Excel file first of all. Excel file. After passing the Excel file, hover the mouse on this and say in real time you have to surround this with try catch block. For now I'm saying add those declaration done. Okay, so finally I'll write down system.out.println. I'll say task completed. Okay, so here I'm not formatting any cells with different background colors. I'm not formatting the Excel cells with different background colors using the POI API. This is a sample code for creating the Excel file and creating the sheet and rows and cells and setting the values to those cells. Okay, setting some data to the cells. Okay, that's what we are trying to do in this. And after this, once this is successful, then we'll go with formatting. How to change this code to format the cells using different background colors. I'm going to show you with the help of POI API. Okay, I have saved it, guys. I have refresh these files. Once you see there's no Excel file here, then let me run the code. The Excel file will be created. Once you get task completed here, you see task completed came in the output. That means last statement got executed. Now refresh the project, guys. Refresh the project and you see there is an Excel file came. Open this Excel file using your system. How to open that? Right click, open with, you have to select system editor. Okay, then it will open using the system editor. your computer. You see, name Arun Varun Tarun came, but they don't have any colors. Okay, I want everything to be in one color. Like I want, uh, for example, what I want is I want to give the yellow background color, and also at the same time I want to give this borders. You see, this black color or red color borders I want to give. Okay, how to get that done? So I'll say don't save. I'll delete this file, guys. I'll delete this file. By default, how it is coming, you have seen that. Okay, I'll delete that particular Excel file. Now I'll create the style. So here I only have set the value, but I have to set the style also. Here only setting the value for the cells we have done, but we have to set the style also. How? Cell dot set style. Set cell style. Okay. Cell dot set cell style. But here we have to provide the style. What is that style we have to provide? You see, it's expecting you the cell style. How to create the style? For that, guys, here I'll say uh, workbook dot. Okay, I can say workbook dot create cell style. You have to say. Okay, create cell style. You have to say. You have to call this method. I'm creating a cell style which I can pass here. Okay. So for the mouse, and it will return the object of the access of cell style. Okay. Here I'll say cell style or style is equal to, okay. Simply say style, otherwise style is equal to for the mouse. The return type of this method will be automatically added to this variable, declared to this variable. Now style dot using this style dot. Here we have different methods, guys. You see, for styling the cells, you have different methods, get alignment and all those stuff. But I'm not going to explain each and every method. I'm going to take some sample methods which will be useful for us day-to-day activities. Get what I'm going to do is get fill background color. No, this get fill background color. I think this one is good. Okay. I'll not go with the background color, guys. I'll not go with the background color. Rather, I'll go with the foreground color. There is something known as foreground color that is better actually. Okay. Rather than using the fill background color, I'll go with the foreground color, which also looks like the background only. Get fill foreground color. This is what I want. Okay. Style dot get fill foreground color. Here I have to say, I'll have to pass the color, right? How to pass the colors? Indexed dot indexed colors. Okay. Indexed colors dot which color? Let's say I want the yellow color only. Okay, yellow color. Yellow color. This is not enough. You'll get the error. So to overcome the error, you have to say dot get index. You have to set. Okay. So put a semicolon here. What is the problem here? Remove argument to match fill foreground color. Okay. Indexed colors dot yellow. This is fine, but okay, there's something going wrong. Indexed colors dot yellow dot get index only, right? Hmm. Sorry, this is not get, guys. This is set. Okay, I forgot. This is set, guys. Okay, I gave get. Get means retrieving, right? We have to set the color. Okay, like we have creating, we are setting the color. Okay, we have to set style, right? Here we have to set the style, not get. Here we have to set the style. Okay, here set fill foreground color. We have to say. If you say get means you'll get that error. Okay, that's the problem I have done. You have to use style dot set fill foreground color. Okay, after filling this is not enough. This will not apply. Okay, this will not get applied. So if you copy this and I'll show you practically. If I apply this style here, you may think that you will get this foreground color for this particular cells and all you will think, but it will not come, guys. Right click run as Java application. Just see here what's happening. Task completed will come. And after that refresh, you will not see any style applied. There is a reason. Okay, right click, open with system editor. You see there are no foreground color or background color applied to the cells. The reason behind that is I'll delete this Excel file. The reason behind that is there's one more line you have to add. Okay, this is not enough. Applying this style is not enough. Okay, by simply setting the fill foreground color is not enough. After filling the foreground color, you have to say set. There's something known as pattern, guys. Set pattern, something will be there. Let's find it out. What is the pattern? Set fill pattern. You see, set fill pattern. Fill pattern type. Fill pattern type dot. Here there are different patterns, guys, like Bix pattern and all those stuff. I will go with the solid foreground, okay, as a pattern, solid foreground. Okay, generally we use this pattern. Okay, bricks means some kind of lines will come. Okay, textures will come. Different textures are there. Solid means no texture, simple plain color. Okay, so without setting this fill pattern type, this color will not be applied, guys. After setting this fill pattern and after applying this style here, cell dot set cells cell style after applying here, then you will see that this style will be applied to this particular cell. Okay, here we are creating the style and applying the style, passing the style here so that it will be applied to the cells, all the cells. Okay, all the cells. Now, right click run as Java application. Let's see whether this time the foreground color is applied. Okay, yellow color should come. Right click, refresh. You got this Excel file. Open with system editor. This time you should get yellow color. You see, yellow background color got applied with our text. But you see, there are no borders. There are no borders, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 cells doesn't have any borders. I want some border. So how to get the border? So for borders also, we'll do the same thing here for the same style that you're applying to this cell style. Okay, I'll add few more. Okay, few more things. Style dot set here border left, border right, border top, border bottom. Okay, bottom border color. Set border. Okay, 1 minute. Let me check. Where is that? You see here we have set left border color. Okay, you have to take this. Set left border. What is the border color you want to get? Here we have to give the same thing. Indexed colors dot. Okay, you have to give like that. Okay, indexed colors dot. I'll take red color dot, or else I'll say dark red or something. Dark red will be there. That will be better. Dark red dot get index. Okay, like this we have to add that. And this is not enough, guys. Before this line, before setting the left border, you have to say style dot set left set left. What is that? Actually, there is something, guys. Okay, I'll tell you. Um, Border color. Okay, let me find that border style, guys. Okay, border style we have to set border left border style, something like that will be there. Set left border color. Border style we have to set, guys. Okay, let me check where exactly those methods are. Border style. Here border are there. Set border right is there. Set border left will be there. Okay, you have to add this. Before this left border color, you have to add this. Set border left. Here, over the mouse, you see, it's expecting you the border style. Border style dot. Which type of border style? Okay, if you don't set this, this will not come, guys. Okay, that's the reason you have to set this. Okay, style dot thick border I want. Okay, thick border. Whatever the border I'm adding in the dark red color, it should be in thick color. Okay. Similarly, style dot set border right. Okay, border style dot again thick I'll say, and then same thing guys have to repeat for each and every direction of the border. Then style dot set right border color, that is same thing. Okay, I'll copy this and paste it here. Indexed colors dot. Okay. Now style dot set top what is that? Set border dot set border top. Here I'll say border style dot tick. Okay. Then style dot set uh, top border color indexed colors dot. You have to take this and paste it here. Next one, style dot set border bottom border style dot tick. After that, style dot set bottom border color. Okay, copy this and paste it here. That's it, guys. This style is already applied. Okay, this style is already applied to the cell. Okay, all the cells. Now save this. Now This I'll delete this file before running the script. Okay, delete the previous generated Excel file. Now run this again. Right click run as Java application. After task completed, you will see that this time in the Excel file, not only background color will come, but also the border will come. That thick red, dark red border will come. Okay, refresh this project and you'll get this Excel file. Right click open with system editor. You'll see that thick red color border is coming. You see, thick red color border is coming in all the directions of the cell. Okay, left, right, top, and bottom. Now, what if your requirement is something where only for the name you want yellow background color, and for remaining things, background color should not be there. What you will do? How to do that? Delete this file. I'll show you guys. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal, guys. Okay, we can do it. Just using some logic, we can write only for the first when row is equal to one. You want to set that style. Okay, set that cell style. Okay, remaining all cases only border should be there. So for that, I'll do one thing, guys. I'll say style one. One, 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 one. I'll also create one more thing known as style two. I'll copy paste this one. I'll remove whatever that is not required. I'll say style two, and I don't want to apply any into the style two. I don't let me put this as style two for now. Style two, 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 style two. So I'll remove this foreground colors. Only the borders I'll keep it, but this background colors will not be there. Foreground or background, whatever you feel convenient, you can call. Okay. For style two, only borders will be applied. For style one, borders and background color will be there. So I want to apply the background color only for the first row. That is when R is equal to 0. So here I'll write the code here. If R is double equal to 0, then apply style one. Then apply style one. Okay. If only one line is there, you don't have to add the curly braces. You already know that, right? Otherwise, you can add also if you are not convenient. Okay. Else, if R is not equal to 0, if R is more than 0 or it's not equal to 0, then simply say cell dot set cell style style 2. Okay. Apply the style 2 where background color will not be applied. Only the borders will be applied. Okay. Now save this and run the code. This time when you generate the Excel file, you will see that only for the heading column heading, that is name, the yellow background color will be there after task complete, and remaining all values Arun Varun Tarun will come in the white background color only. Refresh the project and right click open with system editor. You will see only for the first row yellow will be there. For remaining all, you see no background color is applied. Like this you can programmatically do the stuff. Okay, so ultimately hope guys you understood how to format the Excel cells with different background colors or foreground colors or borders, etc. Formatting, how to format the Excel cells. Okay, using POI API is the topic, guys. Okay, so that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye.
Hello all, welcome to part 39 of TestNG training series. In this session, I am going to explain and practically demonstrate how to read data from Excel files into the data provider methods which pass data to the test methods. Okay, in this session. So these data provider methods are going to use POI API to read the data from the Excel files, and thereafter, after reading the data from this Excel files, data provider methods are going to pass the data, that is test data, to the test methods. All these things I'm going to practically demonstrate in this session, and this session is dependent on the previous session. Okay, if you can see here, this is the current session, guys, that I'm going to take. So this session is going to dependent on the previous session where I have practically demonstrated in detail how to read the data from Excel files using Apache POI in multiple ways. Okay. So before watching this session, I recommend you to watch this session and come back. Okay. So that it will be making your learning or understanding of this particular current session easy. Here you see only practical demonstration I mentioned. I directly will switch to the Eclipse IDE and I'll create a project, guys. I'll select a new project. I'll search for Maven here and I'll get a Maven project here. Select next, create a simple project. It will have its own archetype. It will not select any particular template. Okay. It will have default template. Here, give the project name, guys. That is TestNG POI data providers demo, something, some big project name I gave. That's okay, guys. I'll just give some random. Okay, this is a project name that we have to give in the artifact ID. Here I'll give TPD, PD, something like that. Okay, some random group ID I'm giving. Click on finish. The Maven project need to be created. Okay. So you see guys, here TestNG POI data providers demo project has been created. So what we have to do next is here under SRC test Java, create a new package. Let's say test package. Click on finish. I'll create a new class known as data driven test demo class. Okay. Some data driven test demo. And here in this, I'll create a sample method, sample test method, say public void sample test, or I'll say login test or whatever it is. Okay, login test otherwise. And here I'll give string username, comma string password. I'll say I'll receive the username and password to this test method. I am parameterizing this method. I'll annotate this method with @test annotation. Over the mouse. You see, TestNG library is not there, guys, in this project. This project is by default coming with Java library, but TestNG library is not there. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll open the pom.xml file. Here I'll add something known as dependencies tag, dependencies tag, and I'll end this dependencies tag here itself slash dependencies. Okay. After doing that, here in between that we have to add the TestNG library. Okay, TestNG library related dependencies. For that, we'll go to the mvnrepository.com and here search for TestNG, guys. We'll get the TestNG here. Click on the TestNG and take the latest version 7.6.1. Copy this, guys. Copy this maven and come back here and paste the dependency tags of TestNG here. Okay. Just press tab here and place just save all. The libraries of this TestNG will be downloaded into this Maven dependencies. You see TestNG libraries got downloaded. Now go to the DTDD demo and hover the mouse on @test. Now you are getting the import statement of importing this test annotation from TestNG library because we just now added the library to the pom.xml file. After this, guys, create one data supplier method. Public void data. I'll just give some random name like data supplier. You can give any name. Okay. Data supplier and provide an annotation known as @data provider annotation. Over the mouse, import this data provider from TestNG and here give the name to this data supplier, guys. Give the name to the data supplier as supplier. Just simply give a supplier for now. And here also to connect this data provider method with this test method, we have to add data provider annotation attribute. Data provider attribute is equal to the name of the data provider, that is supplier. You have to give here. Okay. So now this data provider is now connected to the test method. What I want to do next is save all. What I want to do next is here, I want to read the data from the Excel file. I want to read the data from the Excel file, guys. Okay. So for that, if you have followed the previous session, you would have known what is the code you have to write here. First, we have to get the Excel file path. String Excel file path is equal to, we have to give some path here, but here we don't have any Excel file, guys. Okay. We don't have any Excel file. You see in this project, there is no Excel file. So I'll do one thing under SRC test resources. I'll just provide an Excel file. Okay. Under SRC test resources, I'll provide an Excel file. So for that, I'll go to one of the location in my machine and create an Excel file first. I'll delete this existing data and I'll create an Excel file. I'll simply create an Excel file saying tutorials ninja. I'll give the name like tutorials ninja because I'm going to automate this application, guys. Okay. Data driven testing I'm going to do with tutorialsninja.com. Okay. / demo application. I'm giving this name as tutorialsninja data. I'll give. Okay. Data.xlsx file. Open this xlsx file and here provide rename this sheet as login sheet because I'm going to give the data of the login. And here I'll give some columns, say email and password. So if you go to this login page, what is there? Let's see. Email address and password is there. So I'm going to give email address, email and password. That's enough. Okay. Email and password. Now, how many sets of email and password I want to give? I want to give 3 sets, let's say. A Motori cap1 @gmail.com. This is the email and password is 12345. Similarly, a motori cap2 at the rate gmail.com. Again 12345. Here an extra space has come. Okay, the space I'll remove, guys. Okay, yeah. Now 12345 is the password. Now third one, a motori cap3 at the rate gmail.com. I'll give that as password as 12345. So here cap1 is fine. Then per my knowledge, I know cap3 as a valid email address. Then cap7, cap9 or 7, I really don't remember actually. Here for one of the thing is 9 and one of the thing is one will be working. I don't know whether 3 is working or not. So let's check and confirm the data. A 9 is there. It will work. Cap1 I'll try. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's working. So what I gave cap1. Cap1 is working, guys. So cap3 will try now. Cap9 anyhow it will work. Cap3 is also working. So these three sets of data, guys, I'll just highlight this column and I'll just put this rows kind of thing, the borders, and I'll save this data. That's it. Okay. Now this is the Excel file I want. So what I'll do is I'll have created the Excel file. I'll copy this Excel file under SRC test resources here. You can get this. You see, this is Excel file under SRC test resources. I have to give the path of this Excel file here in this data supplier method. How to give that path? First of all, I'll write system dot get property, system dot get property user dot dir, which will give the project path, complete project path till the project it will come. Under the project, under SRC, under test, under resources, we have this file. So we have to append that with double backward slash under SRC, under test, under resources. Under resources, we have the file known as tutorials. Let's be good with the spelling mistakes because a lot of people will make spelling mistakes here. Tutorials ninja data dot xlsx. Extension is xlsx and put a semicolon at the end, guys. Okay, the error will be gone. Put a semicolon. Yeah, done. Excel file path we gave. What is the next thing we have to give? We have to represent this file, Excel file. File, Excel file is equal to new file. Now hover the mouse on this file and import this from java.io package and provide the path of this Excel file in this file constructor. Now next step is to write the file input stream to read the data from the Excel file. File input stream FIS is equal to new file input stream. Okay, and say import this file input stream from java.io and provide the file here, the constructor. Here we have to surround with try catch blocks, guys. I'll surround with try catch blocks. Okay, if any issue is there, it will surround with try catch blocks. And now next statement is, okay, next statement is after reading this, I have to make it global, guys. Otherwise, I'll not be able to access. You will understand that anyhow. Okay, here I need to create an object for XSSF workbook. As explained in the previous session, we have to create an object for the XSSF workbook. New XSSF workbook. Okay, this session you will understand easily if you have gone through the previous session, guys. Okay. Now I'll hover the mouse on the XSSF workbook. I'm not getting an import statement because this project is currently having the libraries from Java and just before we have added the testng libraries into the pom.xml file. Only 2 libraries are there. Now POI API libraries also we need. For that again we have to go to MVN repository and search for POI here, 3 letters POI. Then we'll get these 3 things. POI OXML schemas, POI OXML, POI. I'll go with schemas first. The latest version is available is 4.12. Copy this. Come back here. Go to the pom.xml file. Add that POI OXML schemas. Just press tab here. This is done. Now let's go back. And next one is POI OXML. And here latest version than 4.12 is available, but I'll go till 4.12, guys. I'll copy this. Come back here and paste it. Okay. Now save this. And again go back. Go back. Normal pi. And here also 4.12. It should be common, guys. Okay. That's the reason I'm taking that. If schemas is having 4.12, then OXML also should be having 4.12, and also the POI also should be having 4.12. It doesn't matter, guys, because Excel, right? Excel versions, older versions is also fine. Just save this. We have added the POI API dependencies, and they'll get downloaded here, and you can see them here, guys. Okay, POI XML and all those stuff. Now go back here to the DTD demo and hover the mouse on access of workbook, and now hover it again. You'll get the import statement. Import this from POI API library, and here this constructor cannot be empty. Here we have to provide the file input stream. But the problem is this file input stream will not be visible here because it is local to the try block. I have to make it global, guys. First make it global here and remove the double declaration. And now it should be okay. Now again surround with try catch blocks. Okay, wherever you get the opportunity to provide try catch blocks, better to provide that, guys. Okay, if any mistakes or any issues, okay, so it will identify. Okay, now I have to use this workbook object reference. You will get an error here. The reason here is workbook is local. I have to make it global. Copy this and put it here. Press semicolon and remove the declaration from here. Yeah, now we got the workbook. We have to get the sheet name. What is the sheet name, guys? If I open the sheet name parallelly from the downloads folder, which I copied into the project, the sheet name is login here. Okay, so I'll say workbook dot get sheet of string name. I'll here give as login, guys. Login. Okay, login is a sheet name, and this method will return the XSS of sheet. Okay, just say sheet is equal to hover the mouse on the sheet and create local variable XSS of sheet will come. What is the problem with the workbook? Still, we have to initialize the variable here. Okay, here FIS also we have to initialize the variable. Okay, null will come. Then after this is done, what we have to do? After this is done, what we have to do, guys? We have to from this sheet we have to get the rows. How to get the rows? There are two ways: using for loop or using iterators. I'll go with the iterators, guys, which is easiest way and more dynamic way. Iterators will return you the iterator of rows. Okay, I'll say rows is equal to over the mouse and say create local variable. And since we have iterator, I'll be using the while loop. Rows dot as next. So this logic I explained in the previous session. Just go with that. Rows dot next, and this will return you. This next will return you the row, guys. So say row is equal to row by row it will go. Okay, over the mouse create local variable. Row has come. Now I have to say row dot iterator method, which will return you iterator of cells. So I have to say all the cells, cell by cell it will go. For every row, it will go through every cell if you write the inner while loop. Now while cells dot has next, then write down cells dot next, put a semicolon. It will return you the cell, guys. Cell by cell it will go. Over the mouse create local variable. Now we have to find out the cell type, because here it can be string data, it can be numerical data, it doesn't matter. So we have to find the cell type. Cell dot get cell type. Okay, this I explained in the previous session, so I'm going fast. Over the mouse it will return you the cell type. Cell type is equal to same logic, guys. We are using iterators of the previous session. Okay, now write switch case, switch, and write the cell type here. Write the cell type here and provide this. Now provide case. If the cell type data from the data of this particular cell is of string type, you have to give string like this. And then what you have to do? First, you have to create an array, guys. Okay, here you just create an array. Before you start the while loops, you create an array, because this data provider has to store. This data provider has to supply the data in the form of array. So just create an array here. Object, two-dimensional object array. Okay, two-dimensional object array. Data is equal to new object array. Okay, like this you have to create. Here we have to give number of rows and number of columns, guys. Okay, number of rows and number of columns. How to find the number of rows? So that is the problem, guys. That is the problem. So we can find out, guys. So here just say sheet dot. There is a method of finding the number of rows. Sheet dot. Somewhere we have written rows. Okay, so fine. I'll say what to do. I'll say sheet dot get physical get. I'm just losing my get physical number of rows. Total number of rows will be returned by this method as explained in the previous session, guys. Int rows count. I'll say rows count is equal to, okay, int rows count. This rows count, I'll give it here. And similarly, column count I'll find out. COLS count, columns count is equal to sheet dot first row, get row of index 0. First row, in first row, how many? Any of the row you can take, 1, 2, 3. Better to go with the 0th row and say dot get last cell number. It will give you the number of columns, guys, as explained in the previous session. Give this here. Okay. Like this, you have to create an object array. Now, what you have to do here is, if the case is string, into this object array, data of, how can you do this actually? Uh, so that is the problem with the iterators, right? So can we use it? Okay. So maybe I'm just thinking of some option here. If it is an object array, is there any way where we can iterate and then you see it will contain rows and columns actually. Rows count is there, column count is there. Okay. We are able to get the cell type, but this while is not working. Is there any way I can provide this? I'm just thinking. Just give me a second, guys. Okay, let's try some logic, guys. So what I'm going to do here is here I'm going to create one more thing, that is int r is equal to 0. I'll say first. Okay, int r is equal to 0. So here what I will do is I'll say data of r I will say, and here I'll also say int c is equal to 0 also. Okay, int c is equal to 0. Row is equal to 0, column index is equal to 0. Okay, rc I'll say, and is equal to the cell type dot get. Okay, what is that problem? Switch case, right? Cell type dot not cell type, guys. We have to say cell dot. Sorry. Okay. Cell dot get string cell value. Okay. This is what you have to do. And here I'll say C plus plus. Okay. After this is done, cell will be incremented and then break. C plus plus and break. Okay. C will be incremented to 1. This is one thing. And here one more case I'll write. Case string is done numeric. Numeric. If it is number type, then here also same logic, guys. Same logic we have to write is equal to cell dot get numeric cell value and have to typecast that into int. Okay, I'll just typecast that into int before storing, because here you'll get decimal value that need to be converted to int, and then here also C++, then break. Then next one case, if it is boolean, for example, it is boolean, again the same thing. I'll just copy paste all this stuff, guys, and modify the values. Here I don't have to typecast and simply say dot cell dot get boolean cell value. That's it. Okay, C++. After this switch case is done and after this inner for loop is completed, the cell will be completed, guys. Cell will be completed, and we'll go to the external for loop. And at the end of this while loop, guys, at the end of this while loop, we have to say r plus plus. We have to increment the value of r by 1, that is row by 1. So row is was initially 0, now it will become 1. Okay. That's it, right? For all cells, it will iterate, and every time it will iterate, C++ will happen. Okay, again, in the beginning, C should be 0. And in the beginning, C should be 0. Otherwise, what will happen? There is a problem happening. Okay. So some logic mistakes will come, guys. Okay. So C will be index 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, like that. Okay. Up to 1 is fine. Then after that, C should become again 0, guys. Okay. After the while loop is completed here, C is equal to 0, we have to say. Okay. C is equal to 0. Then here again it will start. C will be 0 again because we assigned C to 0. Okay. Then R will become 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. It will be iterated, the inner while loop. And again C will be 0 and R will become 2. Like that it will go on. I think this logic will work, which will store the data into this two-dimensional object array. And finally, we have to return this data. Okay. Where we have to return this data? Here. This is a method, guys. This is a method which has to return the data. So here I'll say return data. Okay. To return the data, it should be two-dimensional object array. It should be two-dimensional object array, guys, like this. Now this data will be supplied to the this one, okay? And here you know that here you know that this data is coming in the form of string and this is coming in the form of integers, but both are objects only, right? So what we can do, I'll do one thing. I'll just keep that as object and see what will happen. You have to convert that to string. Is it required? This one also I'll try to convert that to string. Yeah, though we are storing in the form of number, but converting to string, what will happen? Nothing will happen. Let's see. If doesn't work, we'll change anything. So it is returning the data for now. And here I have to write the Selenium code, WebDriver manager dot. So Selenium library is not there first of all. So again, go to pom.xml file, add the libraries of the Selenium here. For that, go here and say Selenium Java and click on this and take the latest version 4.4.0 for now as per today's date when I'm recording the session. Copy this and paste the dependencies here. Selenium is also coming now into this project. Save this. Yeah, let it download these libraries. After it is done, go back. And now this is not related to Selenium. WebDriver Manager is not related to Selenium. So sorry, I added Selenium here. We should be adding WebDriver Manager first, okay? We should be adding the WebDriver Manager. WebDriver Manager is not part of Selenium, guys. So I was in a hurry, I just mentioned that. Just search for WebDriver Manager. First, we'll go step by step, okay? We'll add Selenium also is required, but let's add later when it is required. Go to the latest version 5.3.0, which will automate the driver management. Copy this, come back here and go back and paste it here. Dependency of WebDriver Manager, which actually manages the drivers required by browsers, okay? Now, let's say WebDriver Manager dot. Now you see it's kind of giving Chrome driver dot setup, Chrome driver dot setup. Then WebDriver driver is equal to new Chrome driver. I'll say WebDriver driver is equal to new Chrome driver. Here is a problem. WebDriver manager library is there, but now Selenium library is not there. So go to pom.xml file and now this is the time for adding the Selenium library, guys. Okay, I was in a hurry. I added earlier, but now I removed it and add in again. Selenium Java. Go to the latest version of Selenium Java 4.4.0. Copy this. Come back here and paste it here. Now tap. Just save this. Selenium libraries will also be added to this project. After they are done, come back here and hover the mouse on WebDriver and import this WebDriver interface from Selenium library and Chrome driver class from Selenium library and say driver dot. Now write the code manage dot window dot maximize. Write the code for logging into the application using these credentials. Okay. So how to do that? Then driver dot get, I have to say provide the application URL. This application, let me log out and let's start from scratch. This is a home page of this application. Copy this URL, paste it here. After this is done, what we have to do, we have to click on this my account, inspect this my account, and here my account, and it is having the span tag. So I can create an XPath, Control F, text is my account, / span, text is equal to my account. Like this, you have to create. It is locating one by one. That is nothing but the my account option is getting highlighted. Copy this XPath of the my account and say driver dot find element by dot XPath. Provide the XPath of the my account and say dot click. Now click. Okay. After clicking on the my account, then you have the login option. Inspect this login option, guys. Inspect this login option. You'll get this link text. Anchor tags are there. So link text. Driver dot text between the tags is a link text. Driver dot find element by dot link text. Provide the link text of that login option. Say dot click. After clicking on the login option, you will be taken to the login page where we have to enter the email address. Inspect this email address field and it has an ID. Input email is ID. Come back here. Say driver dot find element by dot ID. Provide the ID of that and say dot send keys. Here pass the username. Okay. Pass the email or you can give that as email also, not a problem. Email, pass the email. Pass the email. In the send keys, whatever the email that is being passed by this test method, this data provider method to this. Data provider is reading from the Excel file and we are getting here. So driver dot find element by dot ID password field, guys. For password field, let's inspect the password field. Inspect the password field. Here ID is there. Copy this ID by dot ID. and say dot send keys. Give the password here. This password parameter just provide here. This password will be received from the data provider method. And finally, we have to click on the login button. Let's give some random email address and password, valid email address and random valid email address and password here so that we can continue our automation script. Inspect this. Login button is coming. Value login is there. Input value login. So I'll say double slash input at the rate value is equal to login. I'll write this X path. It's locating. Copy this and say driver dot find element by dot XPath, provide the XPath of that login button, say dot click, say dot click. Okay, it will click on the login button. After clicking on the login button, guys, now you have to verify any of these options which are not available for not logged in user. I'll go with the first option, guys, edit your account information, inspect that, and just take this text. This is the link text, guys. Okay, copy the text and say assert dot assert true. Okay, I went somewhere. Assert true driver dot find element by dot link text having edit your account information link text dot is displayed. Okay. Yeah. If it is true, the test will pass. And here I'll say driver dot quit. I'll quit the browser. Okay. I'll quit the browser, guys. This is what the script I have written, and here email and password will come from this data provider. Data provider will get this data from the Excel sheet. Okay. Save all. Errors are not there. Now let's try to run this test-ng test, guys. Let's run this test-ng test and see whether everything is working fine or not. We'll improvise the script a bit. You'll see that. Run this. So let's see. Chrome browser maximized. Email. Oh, email text is being typed actually. So password text, email text and password text are being typed here. Looks like okay. So what's the problem here? I understood. The problem here is it is reading this email and password, but we should be reading only from these rows, right? I'm giving the first row. Okay. This email and this password I was passing here. Okay. So this email is being typed there instead of this one. So what we can do is while storing the data into this, we have to be careful, guys. Okay. Uh, how to be careful actually. So let's see if column is 0 is okay, but we have to start with row 1. Okay. We should not be starting with row 0, guys. Row 1, we have to start R plus plus. Okay. Uh, I think let's see whether it will work or not. Okay. So this is gone. So let's stop the script from execution. That's fine. Clear it. Now just change the logic a bit where we have to start from row 1. Okay. Now run this. Let's see what will happen this time. Okay. It's got failed. So runtime exception. Array index out of bounds exception is coming. Index for out of bounds for length 4. Why it's so? Where exactly? So what is the code I have done? Mistake I have done. Let's see. Failures 1. All problem with the iterator, guys. Okay. Mm, index for out of bounds for length 4. At which line it is coming? Okay. Okay. So let's see the logic here. R is equal to 1. Row has next. Taking the first row. Okay. That row is not nothing but, right? One row we have to skip actually. One row we have to skip. So what I will do here is I'll just be kind of thing where R is equal to 1 I'll mention, but here I'll just put it here. It will initially skip the first row and go to the next row, and then it will go to the here I should remove the row actually. Okay. Row dot next. Second row onwards, so it will take the data and cells and all those stuff. Okay. So let's see whether this will work or not, or this also will give the error. Modify later. Run. Okay. Now looks like it's taking my logic. It's all about logic, guys, what we are writing and all. Okay. Email address is not being typed and password is not being typed. There's a problem. illegal argument. Keys to send should not be null char sequence. Okay. So guys, I'll do one thing. Maybe this iterator is making the things complex, guys. Okay, iterator part. Instead of iterator, I'll use for loops. Okay. Uh, this is making the things more complex. Okay. So I'll do one thing. I'll comment out this code, and in place of this, I'll put you know. So till rows count and columns count is fine, but here object array is also fine. But here is a problem where I have to comment this out, and okay, this is not working out. So let's write other logic using for loops. Let's try. Okay, using for loops, let's try. So how to use for loops? For int r is equal to 0, r less than rows count, r plus plus. Okay, int r is equal to 0. We have to start with 1, guys, because row 1 we have to start. R less than rows count is fine. Because in the row 0 we have the headings in the Excel sheet. Okay, that's the problem. So we'll start like this int, and we'll get the row here. First of all, we'll get the row here. How to get the row? Actually, sheet dot get row of index, that is r. Then it will take the row. Maybe looks like for loop is better in this case. Okay. Uh, okay. Row we got. Now inner for loop will write int c is equal to 0. We have to start with. Okay. All columns c less than here rows count, here columns count, c plus plus. Okay, the iterator's logic is not working for me somehow. Why to waste time? I'll go with the for loop logic. I have explained anyhow the iterator logic and for loop logic in the previous session, but now let's go with the for loop logic to make the things more easier. Now here this is fine. Here what I'm going to do here is for okay, sheet what is that, we have to get the from row we'll get the cell. Okay, row dot get cell of index c, put a semicolon over the mouse. Cell will coming, cell will be coming, and create the cell, and let's find out the cell type. All this logic is same here, finding the cell type. This is the cell type, and switch case, this switch case is also same. Let's write it otherwise. Okay, why to confuse? Cell dot get cell type. Okay, and it will return you the cell type, that is cell type. Cell type is equal to over the mouse and say create local variable, and now say switch of cell type. I'll copy the switch case otherwise. Okay, I'll copy the switch case and modify accordingly. The switch case only I'll modify, and here c++ and everything is not required, guys. Okay, because we are following a different approach this time. You see, RC is fine because we got the row here and column here. So RC will be there. RC will be there. And C++ is not required, but okay. They're converted that into int. That's fine. And here C++ is not required. And that's all. The loop will iterate and all the data will be stored, I feel. Okay. So we don't have to do much. It's very simple compared to the iterators, right? In this script actually. So now we have to return the data. Where we have to return this data? So here I'll remove all this commented out code, guys, okay, because it will confuse us. Here we have to return the data, I guess. Okay, let's try this again. So it is ending here, so I have to return the data here, return data here. So two-dimensional object array is being written, and that is being passed to email and password. And let's see whether this logic is working or not. Okay, so I changed the logic, all logic, complete logic I changed. Let's see, using for loops this time. Chrome browser launching. Email is not being entered. Why? What is the problem here? Illegal argument exception. What is that illegal? Reflect internal match. Keys to send should be a not null char sequence. Okay. Uh-huh. So 36 is the line which is failing. Here it is failing, guys. Why it is failing there? Let's find it out. Next line is failing actually. This line, send email. This email is not being passed here. Okay, keys to be sent is not. Maybe there is a mismatch between the object array, two-dimensional object array, and this conversion that I am doing here, cell type conversion. Get numeric cell value. What if whatever it is, if I take it as a string value, then if I don't have to use a switch case, then okay, if I'm okay, let's try this out, guys. Okay, let's do one thing. I'll just do one thing, guys. I'll just only put this one cell dot. Okay, I don't want to find the cell type or switch case. I don't want to use. Let's see what will happen. Okay, is it really required switch case? I'm just finding it out and returning the data. Data, right? Data. Okay, let's run this again. Okay, still a failure is coming. Runtime exception, illegal state exception. Cannot get a string value from a numerical cell. Ah, now it's finding out the numerical cell and it's not able to. Okay, so we'll do one thing. Object array can store anything. So I'll go back. Control Z, Control Z. Get numeric data is only fine. What's the problem here? Cell type is the problem. Okay. String numeric, it's taking numeric. That's all fine. But the problem is it's unable to pass, I guess. Okay. When it is passing, what's happening? I'll print it out, guys. I'll print it out here. System.out.println. I'll just see, just to troubleshoot the program. Let me print it out. Save this. Now run this. aronmotori@gmail.com. Then it failed. Okay. Illegal state exception, cannot get a string value from a numerical cell. So here string is there and here numerical value is there, guys. Okay. I'll say int, but here again send keys will not. Okay. Password dot. How to convert an integer into a. How to here anyhow we are converting into integer, right? Just see the logic once. Putting int here. Okay, I'm storing an object. So what's the problem? Where exactly it is failing? First of all, let's see. 1 minute. Legal that's 719 helper. Just checking test invoker, array list, test runner, test DDD 83. 83 is the line. Here it is failing. Okay, I have not removed it actually. Okay, so get cell type. This will be coming. Here I'll put string only, but let's see whether what is the problem now. Again, I have forgot to remove one line. Okay, run this. Errors exist. Password dot is there actually. Okay, run this. Let's see whether it will fail or pass this time. It's printing the data properly. I think it will work this time. It's not passing the data here. Why? But in the output, we got cap 1, cap 3. All the data has been printed, but the data is not getting passed. Method matcher exception. Illegal argument. Maybe the argument is taking it wrong. Maybe we'll put int here because it is returning in the form of int maybe. Okay. And then here convert this integer into I'll say integer dot value of, otherwise string dot value of integer. Integer is a password. Okay. Let's see whether this will work. I'll convert this integer into string and then I'll pass. Okay. So here I'm collecting in the form of integer and converting into string where it is required. Okay. The password thing. Run this. Okay. Again, it failed. Too much. Method matching exception. Okay, guys. The problem is reading this in the form of a uh, string is the problem. Okay. This password is in the form of numbers. Numerical cell value is coming. They're converting that. And here also you see numerical is getting printed, but this numerical is not being transformed. Okay, how can I do that? Then integer will be there. Integer data will be passed. Integer here till here it should be fine. But here it's not getting converted. So I'll do one thing. System.out.println email system.out.println password. I'll try. Save this. Run this. Let's see what will happen. No, it's not passing at all. Data provider mismatch. String argument 0 int argument 1. Your arguments are null. There are no arguments at all, it's saying. Okay, so okay, let me check, guys. Let me check and verify this. So guys, I have resolved this problem. There was small logic issue, nothing much. So this is okay. String email and int password is okay, and converting that password into the string is fine. Till here it is everything is fine. But here what the problem is, there is a mismatch between the array I'm creating, the size of the array I'm creating. Okay, it should be 3 2 in size. Okay, here row count -1 we have to keep because only three rows, right? So it cannot be row count is 4 actually. Okay, number of rows should be only 3 in the array. Okay, that's the main thing. So otherwise it will take the headers and all those stuff. And also here we have to give r is equal to 0. We have to start with not r is equal to 1, r is equal to 0. That is what another mistake I have done in the logic. R less than row count -1. Okay, row count -1. We have to say this row count -1 means it will become 3. Okay, 0 2 less than 3, 0 0 1 2. Okay, into 0 1 2 we are storing. So here I am saying r plus 1. You see it's a tricky thing, guys. Okay, we should be skipping the heading, and remaining 3 rows we have to copy. Okay, so for that this is the only way we have to do. Here row count -1, size of the array should be correct. At same time we have to start from the first row, though we are saying r is equal to 0 here, and storing into the array in the form of 0 and 0 0 1 like that. But here row plus 1 we have to start with. Okay, this is small logic here, 2 to 3 lines. Okay, row -1, row count -1, row count -1, r is equal to 0, and here r plus 1. These are the changes. Here simple r only. Okay, simple r only. Here remove this r -1. Okay, only r. So this will work out, guys. This logic, small logic changes done here in this for loop, right? It is working fine. So now save this. I'll share this project with you guys. Don't worry, in the notes I'll give this project. Okay, so that you can copy paste this code. Okay, and then work it out. You see the logic sometimes takes time. Okay, you see this. I'm just intentionally printing. I'll remove this printing also. Let's see whether it is working fine or not. You see, first credential is working. From the Excel file, the data is being read, and data provider is passing to the test method. Okay, this is a way to work, guys. Okay, when you work in real time only, you will face all these problems, and then you will be able to find the solutions, guys. Okay, so we have to convert that integer to string and all those stuff to get this done because the password is in integer format. Okay, so it's a kind of good example I can say. If you can work out this example, then you are good with okay, reading the data into the data provider and passing it to the test method. How to do that, conversions and all, everything should be clear. Okay, guys. So I'll share this. Okay, this in the notes. So at this moment, the notes are not updated. Okay, the notes are not updated at this moment. In the only image is there. Here I'll put the project code. Okay, the project code I'll put. So you can collect the project code from the notes. Fine. Okay, guys. This is all about how to read data from the Excel files into the data provider and there into the test methods. Okay, the logic is the main part, guys. We are using for loops and working with logic because here we should not be taking the first row. Okay, we have to consider the data only from the this row. Okay, that is index of the row is 1, 2, 3. The size of the array should be only 3, 2 in size. Okay, 3 rows and 2 columns in size. All this logic we have to see, and we have to collect the data only from the row 1. So accordingly, we have to change the logic here. Okay, row plus 1 I am saying, that's why. Even though I am starting with 0, I am saying get row of r plus 1. The array size is like a 3, 2 here. Okay, this if you can take care, then you'll get the proper logic. Otherwise, you'll get all that kind of exceptions and errors. Okay, that we are facing. Okay, fine. Anyhow, I'll be sharing the project. You can investigate this code and work out for yourself. Okay, this logic is working, and we are. And one more thing we can do, guys, we can separate this data provider into another class. Now the things are working fine. So I'll separate this. I'll say class data supplier one or something class name I'm giving. Click on finish, and I'll just move this data supplier provider method into another class now. Complete this thing. I'll just move it out. Okay, because we generally don't have the data supplier. Okay, data providers in the same class where the test methods are there. Control Shift O, and only test method should be there in this class, and this test method should receive the data from this class, data provider of this class. How? Here, what is the name of the class? Data supplier one. Copy this name, and here you provide data provider class is equal to, just give the class name, let's say dot class. That's it. Okay. From this class, from this data provider, the data will be supplied. Okay, otherwise this logic will look very complex in this test method. So the classes having the test method should not contain such kind of logic of the data suppliers which are reading from the Excel files. Okay, we should hide them as much as possible like this in the data provider and separate them into the class, and from that separate class we have to read the data. Now it looks good. Now run this and see whether the data is being passed by the data provider of this data supplier class, data supplier one class or not. And one more change, I have to remove these print statements, guys. Okay, these print statements are not required anymore. It will be working fine, guys. Okay, this will be the final project code now. We have separated the data provider into another class and we are making it work. This looks realistic now. Okay, it's working. 3 out of 3 are got passed, and you see same login test got executed 3 times with 3 sets of data, cap 1, cap 3, cap 9. And that too, we are reading this data not from the Excel file, from this tutorials ninja data.xlsx file. Okay. So what I told you, I have to remove the print statements, right? Right. Let me remove the print statements here. We should not be printing this out. Here also I'll be removing this out. Okay, fine. Now we have the finalized project code, and let me run it for the last time, guys. Okay, to make sure everything is working fine. That extra print should not happen. Directly it should work. Okay. If tomorrow, if I add more data into this Excel file, it should take. Okay, automatically. Should be dynamic. We are not hard coding the data, or we are not limiting the data. Dynamically, the data should work. More the rows I will add into the Excel sheet, the more the data it should work with. Okay. So this is a very good example I can say, guys. You see all the things got passed, and you see cap 1, cap 3, cap 9 came and nothing got printed extra. So this is the final code, guys. I will be sharing this final code in the notes. You can take it from there. Hope you are able to understand. Okay. So fine. That's all. I'll close all the other stuff. Then finally, we'll wind up the session. So that's all about this session, guys. In this session, we were able to read the data from the Excel files into the data provider, and from the data provider into the test method. Okay, we have used POI API also, and data provider was using POI API to read the data from the Excel files, and from there it converted into the two-dimensional object array, and then converted to the required parameter types, and then pass it into the data. Okay, we have done a lot of conversions here and there. It's a very realistic and real-time example you can see. Okay, in real time you have to do some such kind of stuff where you cannot start with the row one in the Excel sheet. We have to start from the row two, and for that array size should be different. And okay, the data only data you have to store into the array. That logic should be like that, guys. Okay, so hope you had a great learning in this session. Okay, we should learn from the mistakes. I have also done a lot of mistakes while demonstrating. I thought it will be very easy, but when I get into the logic, right, something was missing, and then I just went here and there and modified the logic. Anyhow, I'm sharing the project code so that you also face these problems, guys. Explore, get these problems, and sort it out like this, the way I did, and then you will get the confidence. Okay, next time you do, you'll be more confident. Okay. So that's all for this session, guys. In the next session, I'm going to cover another test engine topic for you. Till then, see you. Bye bye.